Yes! Oh, man. Sisu, what's up, brother? I'm a few minutes late. I apologize. Man, I am super jacked up for today. Super jacked up for today. I'm going to level with you. I have no idea where to start. No idea where to start. Houdini, Dan, I'm getting clapped. LOL. I have Cook, Chase, and Burrow. Need 94. Both my tight ends got hurt too. I think I got cooked in fantasy. Hey, listen, I'm here to help. Let's see what I can do. Cook, Chase, and Burrow could get you 94. It's a lot to ask. I do think Burrow and Chase are going to have good games. I think Cook is going to have a good game. I'm pulling for you. I'm going to level with that. I'm not a big fan of the dual Monday night games, but these are two games I'm really excited to watch. You have Jacksonville that really needs to win this game. You have Jacksonville that really needs to win this game because they'll go 0-3. By the way, Jacksonville travels to Houston next week. I know they play Houston. I'm pretty sure it's in Houston. My picks video will come out. Yeah, it's in Houston. That's a big game. So Monday night, this is a huge game for Jacksonville. And they're playing Buffalo. Buffalo's looking at the AFC East with the Jets going 2-1. They really need a win. This is an opportunity to kind of, get a nice lead on Miami and New England, but you also got to stay ahead of the Jets. Very important. Jacksonville, if they start 0-3 and then you go to Houston, what kind of a situation are you in? I'm going to level with you. Washington, Cincinnati. Cincinnati, this is a must win for Cincinnati. They need a win bad. Washington, I don't think, I think that they just really want to make sure that Jaden Daniels develops properly. I'm gonna go ahead and go over that in a little more detail because there's so many great storylines. There is some injury news. Troy Fautanu, first round pick for the Steelers, out for the year. Just real bad situation. For you Lions fans that are watching, Laporta has a low ankle sprain. Not as serious as a high ankle sprain, but it's pretty bad. I don't know the situation of how much games how many weeks he's going to miss. Don't know that. Hill and Collins didn't perform. You got two legitimate number ones. I don't blame you for starting them. You didn't start Metcalf, Diggs, and John. Ooh, yeah. I probably told you take Hill and Collins over Metcalf and Diggs. Jones had a good day too. Oh, look at this. Look at this. The great one. The talent. Gooch. Yes. The show just got better when Gooch is here. Burrow, Chase, London, DeMarcus Robinson, Gibbs, Cook, McBride, Laporta, B-Rob, Lockett, Irvin, Braylon Allen, Hunt, Mooney, Mostert. With Kareem Hunt, I'm assuming that's who you're talking about. Kareem Hunt, nice pickup. I'm going to keep an eye out on that as soon as he gets elevated to the Chiefs 53, and it's just a matter of time. It should be this week. I think there's a good chance that he plays against the Chargers. And it might be a situation. We'll take a look here. But I mean, I'm gonna level with you. I mean, you got Cook, who I think you need to start almost every week. And then I'm pretty high on Robinson. Irvin's getting some more touches. Mozart, that's a guy that if he's healthy, I think he should get a lot of touches. They really like force feeding A-Chain. I get it. I wouldn't do it, especially when there's a lot of problems there in Miami. Yeah, I was really expecting P. Ryan to get more touches. I really, 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 really expected P. Ryan to get more touches. I thought Steele got the majority of the carries, played really, really well. I really thought P. Ryan would get a little more. I do like the way the Chiefs ran the ball, especially with a couple of running backs. One's an undrafted rookie free agent. Another one got cut by Denver. Really good job. What they did is that they elevated I'm drawing a blank on the kid's name, running back out of USC. A guy I really liked. He didn't even play to the best of my knowledge. I'm just drawing a complete blank on the kid's name. 7 minutes into a show, I'm already drawing a blank on the name. I really don't see that you're getting both of those combined for under 15. I just don't see it. Possible. I mean, you could get a couple missed kicks. I mean, it's happened before. Could get a couple of missed kicks. I think Robinson could have a good game. I think that what's probably going to hurt you is I could see a garbage time touchdown from Robinson. That's what I think is probably going to kill you in this one. But watching this game, I'm going to hope for a bunch of missed field goals from the Bengals kicker. Got to support my guy. By the way, I reached out to Keys. And he's like, man, dude, sorry I haven't been there. And I was like, hey, man, when you're able to make it, come on in. Keys is always a welcome addition here. By the way, I'd love for you guys to start putting out some videos again, but I get it. I know the situation is tough. I couldn't possibly drop anyone though, right? I took Mooney because he's trade value, or if London goes down. By the way, they're using Mooney more and more in that offense. That Atlanta offense is really stuck in neutral. It's funny because I was on social media, probably should have avoided it. A lot of people blame the refs for the Chiefs win, and it's like 16 carries, 31 yards from John Robinson. I don't know how you blame the refs for that, but how they're using London and Mooney and Pitts doesn't make a lot of sense. I know that they're missing some players on the offensive line. Caleb McCrary went out. The center went out. So one thing about the Atlanta Falcons is that it's one thing about fantasy football. A lot of people don't look at their team's offensive lines. One thing about Atlanta is that two of the starters went down in that game, and that's something you kind of got to take a look at. A lot of people are blaming Deshaun Watson for Cleveland's woes. I'm like, look, you got a couple backup tackles. Now one of their guards is out, and then one of their backup tackles got injured in that game against the Giants. Well, what happened? Giants had 8 sacks. That there's a direct correlation between offensive linemen getting hurt and the offense struggling. So one of the things I encourage you to look at and by the way, Houdini, you've been in the chat the last couple of days, so I'll keep an eye out on it. Is that going into next week and looking at the Atlanta Falcons, what does their offensive line situation look like? That's a big deal, because if you're missing multiple starters on that offensive line, you may want to take a look at somebody else here. I mean, let's take a look at your lineup here. I mean, you got some really good players. I mean, you got Chase. I love your tight ends, McBride and Laporta. I like Brian Robinson. I know I don't know off the top of my head what Lockett did. I know Metcalf had that long touchdown. But you're kind of in a weird situation with London and Mooney. God, I don't know which one you put in. And even though I know they came back, I don't know how Demarcus Robinson did. I don't know how Demarcus Robinson did. I should know that. I apologize. I don't. But one thing I will say is that you got Chase, and that's a legitimate number one. So, I mean, I'll be honest with you. The way that offense is running, I almost like Mooney better, and I like the way they used him. But with those offensive linemen going down, we may have to. By the way, can you make a deal with somebody for another receiver? Craig, what's up, brother? Hey there, Dan. My team didn't even get 100 this week. If Point Stevenson hurt, and also my quarterback had only 5 points. Week 3, Hurts and Carr. I hope Kittle is back. I got Mark Andrews. Ooh, yeah. Andrews did almost nothing. I have a bad feeling that's kind of going to be the situation going forward, coming off of an injury. They're not really using him in the offense. You have a guy, great, 13 minutes into the show, and I'm already drawing a blank on the kid's name, Isaiah Likely. You have Isaiah Likely coming on. I like the fact that Baltimore kind of, started using Derrick Henry a little more. That's what they should have been doing all along, really. It's funny. I went back and watched the final fourth quarter. I didn't get all the way through it. I just wanted to watch the fourth quarter of Baltimore and Dallas, because I know it was 28-6. And then, the final score is 28-22, if I remember correctly. And I'm thinking to myself, what is 28-25? And I remember thinking to myself, what happened here? I mean, did they really have some? I mean, there's some weird things that happened this week, but I really need to kind of keep an eye out on it. Mixon, I'm keeping an eye out on Mixon. It's a big loss for your team. Big game next week, Houston at home against Jacksonville. Jacksonville has, they're playing tonight. Pay attention to how they're doing, because I really want to see what they're doing. And then, if you get Mixon back, they could be a good start. Jacksonville's defense has not been playing bad. Just full disclosure, I'm excited to see what they do tonight against Buffalo. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game. No, he didn't do anything until the fourth quarter. Travis Etienne. Oh, okay. So you have Etienne tonight. Are you? How many points you need to get the victory? DeMarcus did nothing till the fourth quarter. I didn't have a chance to watch the game. I just saw some highlights. And it was funny. I knew when the 49ers were up 21-7, I thought that they would run away with it. And I saw it was 21-14. And I started getting ready for the live stream. Chiefs-Falcons, great game Sunday night. So when the Rams came back and won, I just saw the highlights. I have no idea what Demarcus Robinson did. Demarcus Robinson was it was funny. He was drafted in the 4th round. Tyreek Hill was drafted in the 5th round. And I remember when both were drafted, I wasn't that excited about Tyreek Hill, but I was very excited about Demarcus Robinson. He'd always have these flashes. When he was at the University of Florida, he had first-round talent, a lot of off-the-field issues. And he'd be one of these guys, he'd have a 100-yard game, size, speed, and it just wouldn't come together for whatever reason. It just wouldn't come together. I could never really figure it out. I could never figure it out. It looks like he has the talent, just for whatever reason, he just doesn't put it all together. That's a low score, especially in a full PPR. Demarcus Robinson's one of those guys. I know. Okay, yeah, you're not. Yeah. There's. Yeah, you're not getting 110. Yeah, I think ETN could have a good game for you. If you're down by 20 to 30, you have a chance, but you're not getting 200. Jonathan Santiago, a great question. Trade question. Trade A-Chain and Ayuk for Evans and Stevenson. Are you talking about Evan Ingram? I should know who you're talking about, but I'm gonna level with you. I like the Stevenson for A-Chain. Ayuk is going to kind of ramp up. Evan, you're talking about Evan Ingram, the Jacksonville tight end, Mike Evans. Okay, I'm sorry. Mike Evans. Okay. So I should have. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that Mike Evans. Okay, all right. My bad. If you watch the show over some time, I'm really bad with names. This is why I always recommend call your girl baby. Nothing worse than calling your girl by the wrong name. All right. So here's what you're looking at. Okay, Ayuk long term is going to probably get you more points than Evans. Evans much more consistent. I mean, you're probably Evans is going to get 1,000 yards, probably 8 to 12 touchdowns. Ayuk, remember last year he got over 1,200. Probably at the end of the year, Ayuk's probably going to have more yards, maybe a touchdown or two more. Okay, A-Chain is really ramping it up. The offense is really struggling. No Tua really hurt them. I'm not sold on Seattle. I'll just level with you. I'm not sold on Seattle. I don't think that's the second coming of the 85 Bears. I just think it's just bad play all the way around. I'm not sold on play calling, the team. When Mozart comes back, A-Chain's carries will go down. I know Jalen Wright got into the field. I have no idea why Jeff Wilson is not playing more. I want to know why Jeff Wilson's not playing more. I mean, I really expected Wilson to be a bigger part of this offense. You have some offensive line problems in Miami. Long story short, I would make this move. The only thing I encourage you to think about before you make this move is I don't have a lot of Stevenson had a bad week, and I had people tell me, because I was like, listen, you got to start Stevenson. I still think Stevenson's a better option than A-Chain, and I think Ayuk and Mike Evans, you're basically getting pushed. A little more upside for Ayuk, okay? A little more upside for Ayuk, full disclosure. A-Chain and Stevenson are both guys that I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to stay healthy, okay? The issue with Stevenson is he's one of those guys who's there. I don't see him playing 17 games. I just don't. You need to have a backup for both. I like this trade, to be honest with you. I like this trade. You're giving up a little bit for Mike Evans versus Ayuk. Ayuk's a little better. Okay, so if you're struggling at the wide receiver, if Ayuk's your number one guy, you're kind of substituting a one receiver for a two receiver. I like Stevenson a lot more than I like A-Chain. The reason being is that I know both offenses are really bad this week. Stevenson is the main cog in that New England offense. He's a guy that most weeks is going to get you 20 to 25 touches. With A-Chain, I firmly believe that once they get the quarterback situation ironed out, I don't even know who's going to play quarterback right now. Skylar Thompson went out. They brought in, Huntley? I can't think of his first name. Troy, Jeff. It's kind of funny because I watched him play at the University of Utah. I really liked the kid. They may bring him in. They just literally picked him up. He's not going to know the whole offense. They need to get Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle more involved, even if they're not throwing the ball downfield. Mozart's going to come back. He's going to get some touches. They're incorporating Jalen Wright a little more. I have no idea why. Long story short, Stevenson's option number one in Miami, in New England. A-Chain's not option number one, even though they're using him a lot. So I would encourage this trade. Keep in mind, I have no confidence Stevenson's going to stay healthy the whole year. Yeah, you need to have a backup plan, but I mean, you're basically substituting a guy that's eventually, going to get 5 to 10 touches. He's a home run threat versus a guy that's going to get 20 touches in Stevenson. Ayuk versus Evans, you get a little more upside with Ayuk. I think you'll get a little more consistency with Evans. Keep in mind, Evans is a guy that, at the end of the year, he's going to have over 1,000 yards and anywhere from 8 to 12 touchdowns. That's not bad. So I like this trade. Keep in mind, you want to get another running back because Stevenson, you can't count. Stay healthy. If you have an extra spot, you may actually want to consider another name freeze. The other running back in New England, Antonio Gibson. You may want to consider Antonio Gibson because when the game got out of reach, they benched Stevenson, put in Gibson. I could see a situation where Stevenson goes down. Gibson will start being that 20, 25 touch a game type of guy. So I like this trade. Keep in mind, Ayuk's going to provide you more points than Mike Evans will. But Stevenson, A-Chain, you'll like that the day that A-Chain gets 5 touches and Stevenson gets 25. So yeah, that's tough. Yeah. So one thing is that you're going to see a lot. Well, let me rephrase that. I thought it was smart of the Lions to try to get Laporta involved a little more. I'm going to follow the injury report. He has what's called a low ankle sprain. A high ankle sprain, you're out for a couple of weeks. Maybe you can play through it. It's very obvious that they were avoiding him. I didn't know it was an injury issue, but with Laporta being out, I thought Williams could possibly get some more points. I think people are figuring out the Lions offense, and I also think it's smart if the Lions stop getting as cute as they've been over the last couple of weeks, just become more of a physical smash mouth team and put the ball more into Montgomery and Gibbs. I don't. I've been saying this for a while. Like I think there is a possibility Jameson Williams, the way that they're using him, he could be trade bait at the trade deadline, because there is a market for a wide receiver like that. I've never liked the way that they were using him in Detroit. Didn't like the draft pick. Lions fans don't like me saying that, but I mean that's kind of what I'm looking at. But yeah, Williams is a tough one. I will say this. I will say this though. If Laporta is out, I mean, it's a fun game against Seattle on Monday night. It's something I'm going to look at. But are you starting him week 4? With Laporta, I'm going to tell you this, though. If Laporta plays, you may want to bench him depending on your lineup. Do you think Jennings will have a solid next week? Every time I get high on Jennings, I just every time I'm gonna look at, because I draw on the blank on his performance last week. Never mind. He had the three touchdown performance. Will it be solid next week? No. He only does good against the Rams. I want to keep track of the injury issues with San Francisco. I'm going to say no. I think he's one of those guys that just had that 3 touchdown performance. Everybody's going to buy him. And, I don't know what's going on there. I'll be honest. I only saw the highlights. I really wish I would have watched like the whole game. I know that Debo's not going to play. Ayuk they're going to force feed him. You don't give a guy that much money and then have some guy, Jawan Jennings just come off the bench and outperform you. Will Kittle come back? I think just Kittle coming back alone, but no, I don't think so. I really don't. Look, it's a great story. It's fun. It's not going to happen again. Chuba Hubbard for Pollard or Jones. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Chuba Hubbard looked like the best player in the NFL last week. I want to talk about the Panthers. I really want to talk about the Panthers. I'm hoping to hear from Denver Gator, because I'm gonna do a little NFL history here. And I know Denver Gator loves it when I talk a little NFL history. I want to go back in time. But the Chuba Hubbard had this phenomenal game. I like Chuba Hubbard. I watched him play at Oklahoma State. Was a real big fan. They gave a lot of money to Miles Sanders. Was it 2 years ago? And he's the backup. And then they drafted the Texas running back. I'm dropping a lot of names here, but I mean it's good. I mean they gave Miles Sanders a lot of money, and then he gets benched for Chuba Hubbard, and then they drafted a running back in the second round, the first running back off the board. Complete blank on what the kid's name is. I should know this. Pollard's been solid, and it's a thing is with Pollard. I don't like anything in Tennessee, but I do think it's sooner or later. I do firmly believe Denver Gators are going to get mad, but Will Levis eventually will get benched. I like the way Pollard's playing. I love the way Aaron Jones is playing. I don't have confidence that Aaron Jones is going to stay healthy. he got injured last year, but I remember to get into the playoffs, they just rode the back of Aaron Jones the final 3 weeks of the season. I will say this, like with Chuba Hubbard, this is driving me nuts. I can't think of that kid's name. I can't think of that kid's name. Second round pick out of Texas. This is just driving me nuts here. Jonathan Brooks. Okay. When Brooks comes back from the PUP list, which could be in week 5, Hubbard's touches will go down. Is this a flash in the pan? I don't know. I will say this. I do like trading Hubbard right now, and the reason why is I do think this is a flash in the pan. They gave Miles Sanders a lot of money. They got Jonathan Brooks, who's going to be the starter eventually. They're going to replace Hubbard sooner or later. Phenomenal game. I mean, and he's a guy I absolutely love too. He's going to be replaced as the number 1 running back. Now, let's look at lineups. All right, let's just look at next week, because if you need to win next week, you may want to start Hubbard. Now, let's take a look. Carolina is playing against Cincinnati. Pay attention to what Cincinnati's defense looks like, because if they shut down Brian Robinson, you don't want to start him. All right. Aaron Jones is got a tough matchup against Green Bay, but I think going back to Green Bay, I kind of like that matchup. I do think you're going to get an uptick in performance whenever Will Levis gets benched. Since that hasn't happened yet, Tennessee's going to play. I don't have it memorized yet. I got the whole schedule pulled up here. I don't know why I can't see it. It's not bye weeks already, is there? Okay. Oh, they play on Monday night. They play Miami. That could be win number 1. Pollard actually could have a huge game at Miami. So here's a drill here. To answer your question, no. Hubbard for Pollard or Jones. I like both those trade options. And the reason why is that I think it was kind of a flash in the pan. I'm a huge Hubbard fan. Chuba Hubbard, huge fan of him. After next week, if Jonathan Brooks is healthy, his touches are going to go down. I think Miles Sanders, they gave him a lot of money. I don't know why they're not using him. He didn't look terrible in limited time. Hubbard looked better. I firmly believe Tennessee's going to make a quarterback change. They may not do it this week. And by the way, I'll full spoiler alert here. I think Tennessee could get their first win of the season at Miami. It's a Monday night game. Who's going to watch Tennessee at Miami when you got Seattle at Detroit? But that's another thing. I wouldn't hate you for this. If you want to hold off, and start Hubbard for one more week, I also wouldn't blame you there either. But to tell you the truth, I kind of like the Aaron Jones move. Keep in mind, I don't have a lot of faith in Aaron Jones staying healthy. Pollard's not playing bad. And I do believe that when they make a quarterback change, his numbers will increase. Another thought, I was going to try and trade A-Train straight for Walker. I have a Charbonnet already. That's actually not a bad idea, because I think Kenneth Walker is going to be healthy. And by the way, he played his college ball at Michigan State. I don't know if I do think that maybe him coming back to Michigan, he could have a big game. Trading A-Chain straight for Walker. You have Charbonnet already. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. Bench Charbonnet when Walker comes back healthy. I do like that. I firmly believe that Seattle is I know they threw the ball all over the field a couple weeks ago, but I really think Seattle wants to be more of a run first team. So I do like that move. I do like that move. Or maybe trade Charbonnet to the Walker owner for Devin Singletary. It's getting good uses, or maybe some better matchup. Could be a decent running back number 2. Yeah, So here's the drill. Singletary. It's as long as Neighbors is blowing up, and he's just as long as Neighbors is continuing to blow up, and I do think he will. You're going to get more and more use and production out of Singletary. The Giants, one of the things the Giants did is they invested heavily in their offensive line via free agency and the draft over the last couple of years. Why it hasn't really panned out, I don't know. I've been adamant. I'm not sold on Daniel Jones. But I like Singletary. I would never consider Singletary a running back number 1. So I do like the fact that you're using him as running back number 2. Trading Charbonnet for Singletary, I think, is smart. But the only thing here's the thing though, if you can get Walker, who I think is better, I would do that. I thought you had Charbonnet, you want to trade Walker. I will say this. Singletary is a nice running back number 2 option, and I think he'll have an uptick in performance. I've always liked Singletary. The only issue with Singletary, and this is the only flaw, and I don't think it's a big deal either, is he's not a home run threat. Like A-Chain and Kenneth Walker, those guys can get you those 80-yard touchdowns. You get a guy like Saquon Barkley, you can score from anywhere on the field. You'll never get that from Singletary. If I remember correctly, I think he ran like a 4.68 or a 4.7 coming out of FAU. And that was always the issue with him, but I don't care about that. One thing about running backs is that I think I like my running back short. And here's the Singletary's not small, he's short. There's a big difference. He's like 5'8", but he's like 220. He's a powerful, low to the ground type of dude. And he catches the ball really well. I just, you're hamstrung offensively because you have an offensive line you invested heavily in. They're not really performing. You have Daniel Jones, who's just not the guy. But in Singletary, you got a guy who's going to get 15 to 20 touches every single week. He's not a home run threat. He's never going to have that, 200-yard performance. I don't know if you watched Philly against the Saints where Saquon Barkley had that like 60, 70, I think it was a 60-something yard touchdown run. Singletary will never do that. But have a lot of 5 to 10 yard carries. The thing is with Charbonnet is that he had a good week last week, but when Kenneth Walker takes over, he's going to go back to being like a 5-10 touch guy. I'll be honest with you. I don't like the way that they use the running backs when they're both healthy. Really, it should be a Batman and Robin type of deal, where Walker should get about 15 touches. Charbonnet should get around 10. They don't use them like that. They basically, one guy gets all of them. The other guy, every once in a blue moon. I do like Charbonnet for Singletary. I like that move. Just one thing about Singletary, and you nailed it since you called Singletary an RB number 2. Don't think that you're going to get Singletary and he's going to put up 25 points every week. He's not. But he's a guy that's consistently going to get you, double digits every single week because he's going to get about 15 to 20 touches every single game. And one thing I also like about Singletary versus Walker is I have a lot more faith. Singletary's always been able to stay healthy. He's got one negative flaw. He's not a home run threat, but that's it. He's a very solid RB2 or flex option. I trading Charbonnet for Singletary, that's a smart move. You're winning that trade, and the guy who has Kenneth Walker is really going to like that trade. And I'll be honest with you, Charbonnet for Devin Singletary is a real win-win for both people, because when Kenneth Walker's down, Charbonnet is going to get more points than Singletary. But when Walker plays, he's going to bench Charbonnet, and you're going to benefit. So it's one of those rare trades that's really good for both. So, Craig says, hey man, hey, listen, thanks for the insight. This week was my worst. Let's get you a win this week. Let's get you a win this week, because losing in fantasy football sucks. I am dedicating myself to do everything humanly possible to make sure that if you follow this show, you win your fantasy football contests. Nothing is worse than going into Monday, especially, okay, so like I have a job in a fantasy football league. When you have to face your coworker who beat you in fantasy football, that sucks. I'm going to help you win. I am going to help you win. I'm on social media below. You can go old school. You can email me. Perry, what's up, brother? It's Tim, whatever. He is officially the starter. He is officially the starter. It's Tim. I don't even know the guy's name. Are you sure? Because they were talking about Tyler Thompson. I'm not sure that it's Tim Boyle. Okay. Are you sure about this? Because they're talking about Tyler Huntley. I don't think that situation's been answered yet. I don't think that situation's been answered yet. ESPN says that Skylar Thompson has a bad rib injury, but there's still, I don't think that's been set in stone. But there's some issues there. I thought it was a bad move. I really thought it was a bad move at the time. So, oops. Hubbard is a waiver. Have to cut Pollard or Jones. Ooh. God, I really don't want you to do either one of those, because I like both. If you have, let's say you want to do it. Let's say you're absolutely going to do it. I would cut Jones if you're going to, because I don't have a lot of faith in Aaron Jones staying healthy. Just when you have a running back who misses significant time the year before, and he's used a lot early on in the year. Keep in mind he's on a 1-year deal, so the Vikings, it sounds cold, but he's on a 1-year deal. The Vikings really don't care if they force feed him and he breaks down. They kind of want him to stay healthy. Probably not in the plans long term. They'll probably draft a running back or go through free agency next year. I will say this. The thing is with Chuba Hubbard is I really like him, but they're going to use Miles Sanders a little more. I'm speculating. They gave him a lot of money. And I personally, I watched that game because I'm here in Vegas. I watched that game. Hubbard's a better player, but he's not head and shoulders better. And there's a reason why you traded up in the second round to get a running back. So and he's on the PUP list, which means in a couple of weeks. So if you, I'm a level with you. I wouldn't do it unless you got one of those guys on the bench. And if you got one of the guys on the bench, then make that move. Keep in mind in a couple of weeks, Hubbard, maybe a guy that gets less than 10 touches a game, and you're gonna hate it. Are you talking about the defensive tackle from? Are you talking about it? So for that draft, did you want Josh Sweat? Or Sweat, the Sweat I'm thinking of is the defensive tackle out of Texas that Tennessee took in the second round. Tyreek Hill for Barkley, yeah. I would make that move in a heartbeat if I was you. Ask for Barkley and give up Tyreek Hill. Keep in mind, I know Tyreek Hill did nothing. Like he'll get back to making plays. I mean, they'll fix some things in Miami so he's a little more productive. But I would do this. Saquon Barkley behind that Eagles offensive line, which I know got a little banged up, but Barkley's a legitimate NFL MVP candidate. So you're in Syracuse. If I remember right, I wanted to do more college football this year. Years and years ago, when they had Donovan McNabb and Marvin Harrison, they were so much fun to watch. It was kind of crazy. It was a combination of it's kind of funny because Syracuse in the late 90s was kind of the blueprint to what college football is now with the zone read, because what they did with McNabb, it was so much fun. It was a combination of run and shoot and option. Don McNabb was so much fun to watch at Syracuse because they threw the ball all over the field, but he also ran the ball. I know they played. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they played Stanford and lost, but so I don't watch college basketball anymore. But back in the day, I was a big Syracuse basketball fan. Divine Comedy. It's been a while. How about those Seahawks? Yes. I'm a level with you. I'm not sold on them yet. A great story that they're undefeated. Big game Monday night. Big game Monday night. Don't start Kenneth Walker this week. Seahawks, Lions. What's funny is that they're doing this double Monday night game next week. And who's going to watch Tennessee and Miami when you have Seattle and Detroit? And I get why the NFL did this. Pick, AFC or NFC. It's nobody's going to watch this AFC matchup, but Seattle and Detroit, what a great Monday night game. This next week, there are some really, really great lineups. There are some really, really, really great games. I'm really excited about this. My picks video will be out tomorrow, and God, there's some really good games. Divine Comedy, I haven't seen you in a bit, man. I'm glad you're here. Hey, listen, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game, Funk. Very impressed. Keeping Arizona, a team that was putting up a lot of points, kept them 13. If you're a Cardinals fan, you're going to say, hey, just, our backup tackle did pretty well against Hutchinson, and Hutchinson got sacked against the third string tackle. Who cares? Hutchinson still got sacked. Was it six and a half sacks already? I know some Lions fans thought that even in the loss, he should have got Defensive Player of the Week. I get that. Hutchinson leads the NFL in sacks. Lions win 12 games. Is he Defensive Player of the Year? Maybe he should be. Singletary would have had a nice long touchdown run this week. We went down to run. Oh, yeah. I saw a clip of that. Singletary is a dude that I really liked him coming out of Florida Atlantic. And keep in mind, I'm 5'8" myself. I've always been short. I've always been short. I started high school at 5'1". Back when you could bully kids, so it was rough, But I've always liked taller receivers. It's funny. I have a short where I say I love long, tall corners, and I always like length on the outside. Whether it's receivers or corners, but I think being short as an NFL running back really helps. I've always believed that, and keep in mind, I want to talk about this in a little bit because I want to go do a little NFL history lesson. And I'm waiting for Denver Gator because I know Denver Gator loves NFL history. Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, these are shorter running backs, and I think it gives you a legitimate advantage when you're short as an NFL running back. I really believe that. Devin Singletary's not small. I mean, he's like 220. He's a powerful dude. I mean, he can run through arm tackles. The difference is between a guy like Singletary and a guy like Barkley is Barkley can score from anywhere on the field. Singletary can't. Barkley looks a lot bigger because Barkley, depending on he's anywhere from 5'10" to 6'1". I don't know. I just say I think he's realistic. I think he's like 5'11" or 6 foot. The one thing about Saquon Barkley is, as much as I love watching him, he's always a candidate to miss a few games due to injury. Singletary, more than likely, is probably going to play the whole season. So, didn't know you're an Eagles fan. I used to be, and I cannot emphasize USED enough. I can't emphasize this enough. I used to be the biggest Penn State fan in the world, and then they had that scandal. But when they had Gesicki and Saquon Barkley, remember they played in the Rose Bowl against Sam Darnold and USC. That was one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. But I'm no longer a Penn State fan, but I do try to watch some Penn State football. Watching Saquon Barkley in college I was like, oh my God. And he's matter of fact, I think if you have a short list of MVPs, I think Barkley has to be on that list. Didn't know you're a Philly fan. Big win. I picked Saints. Guys, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back just in a moment. Take a quick commercial break. Then I'll be back with hour 2 of Afternoon Delight. Just a friendly reminder that my NFL Week 4 picks video is coming tomorrow. You don't want to miss this video. I will provide the winner, score prediction, and which teams cover the spread and the over-under for every NFL Week 4 game. This award-winning video is being released 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. As Afternoon Delight takes a commercial break, we remind you that BetUS is a proud affiliate. The video in the description below shows how easy and fast it is to collect your bonus. Click on the link in the description below and start winning today. At the top of hour 3, we have Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports joining the show. Keaton has gone on record saying if you don't subscribe to Keaton Talk Sports, he will punch you in the face as hard as he can. Wait, I'm not allowed to say that? I know it's not true, but whatever, fine. It's true Keaton Talk Sports is joining us, but he might not hit you. Stay tuned as non-violent Keaton joins us at the top of hour 3. Now let me fix my hair as we return to more Afternoon Delight. Yes! Hour 1's in the books. We got hour 2 of Afternoon Delight. I didn't know Jonathan was an Eagles fan. Did not know that. I think you have a short list of players that are MVP candidates. Barkley has to be on that list. I might actually have Saquon Barkley as my NFL MVP. I have to think about that. Yeah, somebody's going to pick up Hubbard, and don't get me wrong, I think Hubbard could have a good game next week, but he's going to split time with Singletary, and when Jonathan Brooks becomes healthy, I really think that they'll kind of force feed Jonathan Brooks. The reason why I say that is I watch Xavier Legette play quite a bit, and Jatavion Sanders. Both these guys are rookies. So what Carolina Panthers did is they used a first-round pick. Remember, they traded up. They flip-flopped with the Bills, which right now looks like a good move. We'll see what Keon Coleman does tonight. But Carolina wanted Xavier Legette. The Bills like Keon Coleman better. All right, we'll find out. I'll be honest. I like Xavier Legette significantly more than Keon Coleman. But I understand the logic. Jatavion Sanders was a 4th-round pick, and the only reason he lasted to the top of the 4th round was because he had a bad 40 time. This is a guy that I really, really like. I had a 2nd-round grade on him. Not really a blocking tight end, but you have a guy named Tommy Tremble. That a guy out of Notre Dame who I was really high on. He can block, he can catch, he can do a little bit of everything. You have some good things there in Carolina. Jatavion Sanders, 4th-round pick, played quite a bit, and I really get the impression that what they're going to do in Carolina is try to play these young players. So that's kind of why I think Jonathan Brooks, when he gets healthy and he's off the PUP list, I really think that they're just going to kind of throw him in there. One thing about playing running back is that out of all the positions in the NFL is a completely different game than college. The one exception is the running back position. You can come right out of college and step into the NFL as a running back. The biggest issue running backs have to adapting to the NFL is pass protection. Because usually if you're a running back who's got NFL talent, they don't ask you to pass protect. But once you get in the NFL, you have to pass protect. That's the only thing. But yeah, I really think you're making a smart move in passing on Chuba Hubbard, but somebody's going to pick him up. And if he does have a good game next week, I don't want you to get mad at me, but I think it's kind of a flash in the pan. I really, really, really think it's a flash in the pan. Even though I'm a big fan of Chuba Hubbard, I don't expect him to. I mean, what was it last week? It was like 190 total yards. He's not going to do that again. Maybe he does. Raven76B more, welcome. Hey Dan, do you believe John Harbaugh's situation quotient is horrible? I didn't get a chance. It's funny because I got it on DVR. If I get a chance, I'm gonna level with you. I probably won't do it tonight, and the reason why is that usually what I do is after I watch Monday Night Football, I do the picks video. I already got the picks ironed out. Like I already know the picks, the points. It's just putting the video together. I do everything myself. I don't have a production team, so it takes me a little bit of time. The video is pretty good. I mean, I'm assuming you like the video. Check it out and see what you think. I've been keeping the videos this year pretty short and sweet. And then if you want to go into more detail about Pacific game, there is a few things I did want to talk about last week, but the number one thing I do on this channel was if you have questions, I have answers. I just want to talk football. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to answer your questions. You guys are important, but I have like a few things I did want to bring up. I may not go back and watch the fourth quarter because all I know is that it was 28-6, and I think it's 12 minutes left. And I know Dallas. One thing about Dallas is that passing game is pretty good. CD Lamb's option number one, but they got other options that they can use. I have a buddy of mine, he's a Cowboys fan, and he's like, yeah, I might put some action on Cowboys. And I was like, I really don't think you're going to win this game. And the reason why I say that, I think Baltimore is a really, really good team. I know that they're 0-2, but I really kind of expected them to win that game. By the way, big game on Sunday night, Buffalo at Baltimore. Big game. Big game. I kind of want to go back and watch that fourth quarter before I tell you that the coaching's horrible. Look, you have a team that you're up against. I have to admit, 19 points in less than a quarter is a little frustrating. Derrick Henry got going. I mean, it's fair to say that there's some questions. I'm gonna point out something. It's kind of apples to oranges. I'm a Chiefs fan. I've been a Chiefs fan for a long time. I don't know how old you are. I have no idea, but I'm going to assume you don't know what I'm talking about. So if you do know who I'm talking about, now I'm waiting for Denver Gator to jump in because I want to talk a little NFL history. I know Denver Gator loves it. In the 90s, the Chiefs had this coach, Marty Schottenheimer. I loved Marty Ball until he got to the playoffs, and everything just kind of fell apart. A lot of people wanted Marty replaced, and they did. And those were some dark times. Those were some really dark times. A 4-win season, a 2-win season. It was terrible because the Chiefs ended up with the number one pick in the draft. And the previous 2 years, the number one pick in the draft was Cam Newton, Rookie of the Year. Then the year before, it was Andrew Luck, who just Andrew looked like he was going to be awesome. And the Chiefs get the number one pick in the draft, and no quarterback gets chosen in the first round. There was a lot of Chiefs fans that thought Geno Smith. My point is that a lot of people wanted Marty gone. Marty struggled with a lot of things. But when Marty left, there were some dark days. I mean, some bad seasons. A 4-win season, that 2-win season for Andy Reid. I mean, I remember all those. Most Chiefs fans just became Chiefs fans over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. The ones that sat through some of those bad years really appreciated a little more. I'm just telling you, you replace Harbaugh, you may be in for some bad years. But as somebody who's just watching the red zone, watching the Ravens get that big lead, and then I come back and find out they only won by 3, it raises some legitimate concerns. I get it. But as somebody who sat through the Chiefs of the dominating 90s regular season, a lot of people don't know this. The Chiefs won the most games in the 90s. They won more games than the Cowboys. Did they win any Super Bowls? No. But once Marty left, things got a lot worse. And I understand that maybe you may have some frustration with Harbaugh. Believe me when I say this, you could do a lot worse. You could do a lot worse. So you got to go to Jerry World. Seriously, I would love to go to Jerry World. I had a buddy of mine that went. What they do in the off season is they sell tour packages. And they let you actually walk out on the field. They do a whole thing. I'm told it's awesome. Keep in mind a Cowboys fan told me this. But I have to admit, I remember. Oh God, I don't want to rant too much. I want to make sure I answer all these questions and talk football with everybody. But I dated a girl. I tried the long distance thing. I don't recommend it, but anyway, she lived in Fort Worth, Dallas. She lived in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. And I took some pictures of them building Jerry World. That showing how long ago it was. And it was really fun. Dallas is a fun town, man. I had a blast there. I seriously, it's great city. I would love to live in Fort Worth. Not a big fan of Dallas, just big city, lots of traffic. But I do want to go to Jerry World. I think that would be really cool. Lots of Ravens fans there. Not surprised. Dallas, thank God they play on Thursday night. Their fans are jumping off bridges. If they weren't playing the Giants, by the way, if they lose to the Giants, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. But man, I bet you had a great time. Great win and great matchup on Sunday Night Football. Buffalo versus Baltimore. You have to tune in and watch my picks video, see who I'm going to pick. You have to tune in. But, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I kind of want to see what things happen because, as GB will point out, losing Herbert means a lot. If there's some significant injuries, that could have something to do with it. So, GB, not gonna lie, I didn't watch the whole Chargers game since it was 3 a.m. for me, so I only caught the first half, and I knew Herbert was injured, but I didn't know our whole O-line got injured. Full disclosure, I was not even aware that Herbert was going to be out for a few weeks. I I didn't know he was going to be out for a few weeks. I was under the impression that he was actually going to play against the Chiefs next week. I was under the impression that he was going to play next week. I know he's banged up. I'm looking at now. ESPN's not the best. ESPN's not the best, but I'm going to read to you what they're saying on ESPN. Not the best source. Herbert ankle at X-ray results on his right ankle come up negative. That's a good thing. After Sunday's 20-10 loss versus the Steelers, which he aggravated his high ankle sprain. Now, here's the drill. I knew Herbert was banged up. He was banged up. He didn't practice during the preseason. But I fully expect him to play. Listen, week 4 is a big one. Week 4 is a big one. You know who's coming to town? The Chiefs. You know who's coming to town? The Kansas City Chiefs. The same team that's won the AFC West 46 times in a row. I'm exaggerating. I think it's 8. Justin Herbert is probably going to play, but let's say he's not. Let's just have some fun here. So GB, I said GW. I'm sorry, but GB obviously losing Herbert for a few weeks. Do you think Heineke can do the job Herbert has been doing? I mean, obviously Herbert is levels above Taylor. But we haven't really used Herbert like that. So here's the drill. If you're not aware, Tyler Heineke came in for Justin Herbert. Both quarterbacks struggled against a very, very good Steelers defense. I was not aware that the whole offensive line got injured. I actually wasn't aware. I did see TJ Watt beat Joe Alt. Now, a lot of people are talking about Joe Alt being a Pro Bowl caliber player. TJ Watt's different. And if you're going to say, wait a minute, he did really good against Max Crosby. Max Crosby's banged up. TJ Watt for right now is healthy and probably the best defensive player in football right now. If Tyler Heineke was going to start against Kansas City, that would be an issue. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it matters. Kansas City's had the Chargers number in LA. I don't think it matters. But after the Chiefs game, can Heineke right the – your question is, can Heineke right the ship for a few weeks? The answer is yes, because the Chargers are not the same team that they've been the last several years. Under Harbaugh, they're going to lean on Dobbins. They're going to lean on Gus Edwards. They're going to lean on their defense. And this is something I thought would take a little longer to develop, but it's moving along a lot faster. Believe it or not, you may say, look, they lost by 10 to the Steelers. What do you think? I'm actually very impressed. I know the Steelers weren't planning on Justin Fields being their starting quarterback. I know the Steelers had some issues on the offensive line. Holding them to 20 points is impressive. It really is. The Steelers had some issues on offense. A lot of it had to do with the Chargers playing some pretty good defense. The Chargers defensively are a pretty good team. They're going to give the Chiefs problems. This isn't going to be. I'm going to tell you something. As much as I would love it, as much as I would love for Kansas City I joke around with my dad. Like why can't it just be a game where the Chiefs just win by 20, 30 points and I don't have to pull my hair out? Every single Chiefs game, it's got to come down to like the final play. I have to have like a heart attack It's got to be 58 minutes or 59 minutes of, just are they going to get it done? And I expect the same thing. I really do. And by the way, Herbert is going to start, but let's just say Tyler Heinicke's going to start. Can he register? Sure. Do I think that the Chiefs will win, whether it's Heinicke or Herbert? Yes. I'm going to tell you something. Tyler Heinicke starts against Kansas City. He's going to have some plays that's going to cause the Chiefs problems. Can he do a lot of things that Herbert can do? Running the ball? Yeah. Is he going to be that guy that's a threat of Herbert passing? No, but you know what? They haven't really been using him that way. The offense that John Harbaugh, what's the Jim Harbaugh? No, it is Jim. Jim Harbaugh's the okay. I got two mixed up. The offense that they want to run with the Chargers is not going to change that much with Tyler Heinicke. It's really not. So the answer is that can Heinicke do the job? Yes, he actually can. You want the superstar quarterback there, but the way the Chargers are built, good running game, good defense. Yeah, you can put Tyler Heinicke there and you'll be okay. I'm going to level with you though. Are you ready for the Chiefs? Not yet. Either or. You're not ready for Kansas City. But can Tyler Heinicke get the job done for a couple of weeks? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Of all the guys you could have as a backup quarterback for Justin Herbert in Jim Harbaugh's offense, like Heinicke's kind of the guy that you want because he's the guy that's going to be mobile, smart dude, has starting experience, and he makes some plays. I mean, that's kind of what you want. You really aren't asking Tyler Heinicke to go back 50, 60 times a game and go ding, 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 ding. You're not asking him to win a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. What you're asking him to do is get a few first downs, don't turn the ball over, hand the ball off to two pretty good running backs. J.K. Dobbins didn't light it up in fantasy. Is this one of the top running backs in football? Absolutely, until he gets injured, which unfortunately will probably happen. Kind of went on a rant there, but to answer your question, can Tyler Heinicke do the job for a couple weeks? Absolutely. I fully expect Justin Herbert to stay in the lineup. And I don't think he's going to come out. But is there a situation where he may need to leave for sure? But we'll find out. I love this. We're 3-0 versus Dan Campbell. LOL. It's funny because the one team we own on matchups is Detroit. Geno becomes Patrick Mahomes when he plays the Lions. Just check out his last 2 years. It's actually funny because you're right. Seattle over the last couple of years have done an excellent job against the Lions, and it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. And this happens. Sometimes certain teams match up better against other teams for whatever reason. The one thing I do want to say is that this is a new you kind of okay. Listen, Divine Comedy. You're like, oh, you're a hater. No, I'm not hating. I'm just pointing out facts here. This isn't the same team that's done that. You have a new head coach. You have a new offensive coordinator. You have a new defensive coordinator. You have a new scheme. You have to take all that stuff. You throw it away. You input a brand new team and a brand new scheme, and you're 3-0. But what you did the last 2 years doesn't apply to this year. That's kind of what I just want to warn you is that, and by the way, if you win, great, but what happened the previous 2 years with Pete Carroll, doesn't apply now. You have to take a look at the matchup now. I'm taking a look at Seattle sustained some injuries on the defensive line. Your first round pick, the kid out of Texas, drawing a blank on his name. He got hurt in that game. How is he going to bounce back? DK Metcalf's always been a hot and cold guy. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the guy that I think eventually will be the guy. I've been telling people, they got a new defensive coordinator from Baltimore, Anthony Weaver, and I've been telling people, like, I'm not sold on Miami's defense. But you can't sit here, bring in a new staff, bring in a new system, and then say, "Oh, look what we did before this new staff and new system was here." It doesn't apply. Geno Smith being intimidated of Detroit, however, does apply. Geno Smith's not going to go into Ford Field and be scared. Geno Smith goes into a stadium against a team that he knows he can beat. That's what makes the game fun. But you can't bring in a new system and then go, "Oh, well, the old system works, a new system." No, it doesn't work. It's something different. But Titans, Dolphins, Seahawks, Lions, nobody's gonna watch Miami and Tennessee. I mean, I can't wait. It's going to be a great Monday night game. You should be excited, and you should also feel confident too that your Seahawks have a good chance. I'm not telling you that you can't beat the Lions. I want to be very clear about that. I'm not telling you can't beat the Lions. What I am going to tell you is that new system and that new coaching staff and that new scheme doesn't means that you can't bank on the previous results. So, Ravens, if you get a chance to look at the Cards-Lions game, Lions fans turned the Red Sea blue. I didn't have a chance of that. Dan, you saw Lamar Jackson roasting Marlon Humphrey on the plane for dropping, and I did not. Hopefully it's good-natured, and Marlon Humphrey's an excellent player. But hopefully it's good-natured. But no, I didn't see it. Funk, that's how yesterday Dallas turned purple. Yesterday I looked in the Lions and Cardinals game. I do like that at Baltimore. I'm not a fan of Pittsburgh. I'm going to be very clear. I'm not a fan of Pittsburgh, but Steelers fans travel. Packers fans travel. Vikings fans travel. Vikings fans are awesome. They travel really well, and they're great. They're great. But Dallas has always been kind of like one of those, that it is pretty cool. I'm just going to tell you, Dallas is one of the places I've never been to Arizona. The Chiefs will travel to the Chargers. I will tell you this right now, you're going to see a lot of red. Whoever plays in LA, the opponents. But by the way, the Rams, there was more 49ers red than there was Rams blue and gold. And there'll be more red than there'll be powder blue on Sunday night. But that's really cool, man. That's really cool. I'm not all surprised. Not only is it a long distance, you're talking about Detroit. But I was going to say Baltimore. Not only is it a long distance from Baltimore to Dallas, I will say this: it's not cheap. Those Jerry World tickets are not cheap. I don't know how inexpensive or expensive it is to go to a Cardinals game, but I can tell you this: it's not cheap to go to Jerry World. I will say this: Dallas is a good time. There was a "Let's Go Lions" chant and a Jared Goff chant that could be heard on the broadcast. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. While fans are traveling distance for their team funk, that's awesome. Talk about injuries. Lions yesterday, Barnes' knee out for a few weeks. Ugh. McNeil day-to-day. Branch concussion protocol. I forgot to mention about that. Davenport's going to be out for the whole year. This is a guy I absolutely love coming out of college. Has never been able to stay healthy. Never been able to stay healthy, and it's such a shame because he's got all the tools physically. It just his health. A Ravens fan that lives in South Baltimore or South Florida. That's awesome. I live in South Florida, distance over 1,000 miles of Dallas. Guess I'm not in that category. Dude, listen, South Florida to Dallas. I've only, it's funny. I live in Vegas now, but I've never been to South Florida. I have a buddy of mine that says Miami. He travels to Vegas quite a bit, and he says Miami's like his favorite place. So, Rhinos Roundtable. Colts win despite bad quarterback play. Jonathan Taylor is carrying us. Just need Jacksonville to lose. I have been dying to talk about this, but here you are. You Gus Bradley led defense. You give up, I think it's 473 rushing yards the first 2 weeks of the season. I've been telling people, hey, listen, if you have DeAndre Swift, you want to start him because you're playing a Colts team that's just terrible against the run. And what do the Chicago Bears do? They throw 58 times. And if you look at the box score, you're going to say, well, Caleb Williams had his ups and downs, but, he showed some promise, looked good. No. This is how you destroy a rookie quarterback, is you go against a Colts team, and instead of running the ball, you throw the ball all over the place and you put them in a bad situation. Anthony Richardson is another quarterback that's not being used correctly. I am such a Jonathan Taylor fan. So, yeah. Yeah. That was so cool. I had no idea you're in South Florida. So, no, I agree. Dan, fair points on the new regime. This guy held Detroit to 6 points last year. Feel good about us versus them. Offense is same though. That here's the thing. NFL just nailed it because look at next week here. Okay, Dallas at New York. This is a big game. New York's coming off of a win. 8 sacks. I know Cleveland had some backups, but 8 sacks is a big deal. Dallas, the defense under Zimmer has not been playing well. It's in New York. It's a huge game because the Giants win this game, the Dallas media is gonna just erupt. Dallas wins this game, the Brian Dable hot seat heats up, which has been cooled down after a win. So you get a great game on Thursday night. All right. Sunday night football, Baltimore and Buffalo. And then on Monday night, Seattle at Detroit, a 2-1 team hosting an undefeated team. Could meet again in the playoffs. And talk about a big game for Detroit. You have Minnesota, who's undefeated, playing Green Bay, who's 2-1. One of those teams is going to lose. Let's just hypothetically, let's have some fun. Let's say Green Bay wins. So Detroit goes into that game against 2 3-1 teams. Minnesota wins, and they're 4-0, so you have to win that game. Bottom line, New England at San Francisco. San Francisco's projected to win. They're the biggest favorite of the week so far. But they're injury riddled. The Rams, that's a fun story. It really is. Arizona's not been playing bad. So, I mean, if you're Seattle, yeah, I know you're 3-0 and you should be happy. And look, you have a nice, comfortable lead there in the NFC West. I get that. Do you still really need this win? Yeah. Denver Gator! Sup, suckers? I'm coming. I'm hot after my clinic. The Broncos put on Tampa, and Will Levis is still a clown. Denver Gator, I've been waiting for you to join the chat because I wanted to do a little NFL history, and I know you love NFL history. I'm going to answer some questions, but I've been waiting for you to join the chat because I want to do a little NFL history lesson. Something I know you maybe forgot about, but I'm going to touch base on something. Hopefully you still remember. It's been a good season for us so far, 2-1, possibly 2-2 after next week in Raiders Nation on Meltdown. I don't like how the Broncos fared. I'm going to level with you. I think Baltimore just melted down more than the Ravens won, or the Raiders won. The Raiders getting just destroyed by Carolina. I have to go back into the history vault to see something like that. And the reason why I say that is because if you never watched football for 2024, and the first thing you see is Carolina in Vegas, you're looking at the Carolina Panthers and you're going, that's a playoff team. And I've been watching football for a long time, and I'm watching that. I was watching the rematch of, I already knew what was going to happen. I was watching Carolina versus Vegas. I wanted to get some ideas. So I heard Minshew got benched. He didn't really get benched. It was just, hey, look, the game's out of reach. Let's make sure you're healthy for next week. Give Aiden O'Connell some playing time because he earned it. It wasn't a bench, despite what I kept hearing. If I didn't know what happened the first 2 weeks of the season, and I watched Carolina Panthers, I would say that's playoff team. That's what playoff teams look like. Really good quarterback play. You can run the ball. Deontay Johnson had over 100 yards. He looked really, really, really good. You saw some athleticism and some playmaking ability from your first round wide receiver, Xavier Legette. Just looks massive out there. Like you can tell he's got all the tools physically to play in the NFL. Jatavian Sanders has enough athleticism playing the NFL. So if I didn't know anything about football and I just turned on the TV and I saw the Carolina Panthers for the first time, that looks like a playoff caliber team. It really did. And I can't do the noise right, but you do like that fantasy. I wanted to put together a little montage here because I go nobody's going to get that reference, but I want to go back to 1989. See a bunch of different names in chat, not enough likes. You guys know the drill by now. I want to go back in time to 1989 real fast. Hair metal this is like the final last grasp of hair metal dominating the music world. Paradise City, Guns N' Roses, Dr. Feelgood from Motley Crue. Watch, go listen to Same Old Situation and ask me if you don't get a little charged up. Zubaz Pants. I'm going to tell you something. I've never asked Denver Gator this. But if I said, Denver Gator, did you own a pair of Zubaz Pants? I know the answer is yes. Starter jackets. Yeah. 1989. why am I bringing up 1989 is when's the last time I saw a team look terrible the first 2 weeks of the season and then go on to win a playoff game? I go back to 1989 Pittsburgh Steelers, which lost the first game of the season 51-0. Then they lose the second game of the season 41-10. They lose to division rival Houston twice in the regular season, but they somehow managed to win the final 3 games of the season to go 9-7, get to the playoffs, have to travel to Houston, where they beat the Houston Oilers. After that game, Jerry Glanville is fired. Chuck Noll, probably his greatest coaching performance of all time, taking that team that lost the first 2 games by a combined score of 92-10, taking that team into the playoffs. But the thing is, I'll never forget about this team is Pittsburgh had this fullback by the name of Merrill Hodge. You may have watched him do TV commentary. In the 1989 playoffs, he had his only 2 100-yard performances ever. He looked like the second coming of Jim Brown against Houston. Then they go up to Denver. They lost 24-23 against Denver. They came so close to beating Denver. They just couldn't do it. But Merrill Hodge had the game I'll never forget. It was like 132 yards rushing. He looked like Jim Brown or something. He was just running through people. Never had 100 yards in a regular season game, but in these 2 playoff games, one to end Jerry Glanville's career in Houston. By the way, in the regular season, Houston beat Pittsburgh. I think it's 27-0. Swept them in the regular season. By the way, you want to talk about 2 guys that did not like each other? Chuck Noll and Jerry Glanville. Those 2 hated each other. Chuck Noll ended Jerry Glanville's career in Houston. When I watched the Carolina Panthers beat the Raiders, I went back to 1989 and thought about that Steelers team and thought about how no team in NFL history looked worse for their first 2 games and then went to the playoffs, won a playoff game, almost won a second one. By the way, if you don't know, the 1989 AFC, I'll say AFC victim because the 49ers beat Denver 55-10. But the AFC representative was the Denver Broncos. Pittsburgh came this close to beating them. But they started 0-2 in the worst possible manner ever. When I watched Carolina beat the Raiders, I really thought, if I didn't know better, the Carolina Panthers looked like a playoff team. The offensive line played well. Andy Dalton can play, folks. There's talent on this offense. They have weapons at skill positions. Chuba Hubbard had a day. Miles Sanders can play. By the way, this rookie's on PUP list that hasn't played down in the NFL. If he's healthy and he looks like he did at Texas, this guy's a legitimate NFL running back. For those of you who don't know, he set Texas high school rushing records. That's not easy to do. All-time Texas high school rushing records. That's what this Jonathan Brooks kid did. The defense, Clowney had a sack. I've always been critical about Jadeveon Clowney because here's a guy who had all this athleticism and he never looked like he wanted to tackle anybody in his life. And when I watched him play in Baltimore last year, he was a complete difference maker. I watched him be a difference maker. Shaq Thompson looked like he was everywhere. J.C. Horn, who by the way, Carolina messed up and should have took Patrick Surtain, but J.C. Horn looked like a legitimate NFL stud corner. Is he as good as Surtain? No, of course not, but looked good. The way the Carolina Panthers looked against the Raiders, that looks like a playoff caliber team. It really does. But you have to go all the way back to 1989 when Denver Gator was wearing Zubaz pants. And by the way, I know Denver Gator owned a pair of those. I know you owned a pair of those, Denver Gator. I know for a fact that you at one point in time was wearing a starter jacket with Zubaz pants. You remember 1989 Denver Gator? I never asked Denver Gator this, but I know for a fact he owned some Zubaz pants. I know this. That's what I thought of when I watched the Carolina Panthers play. 1989. Pittsburgh having the worst 2-game start of all time, but still winning a playoff game. Can it happen? I'm pulling for it. Andy Dalton made a difference. I love the way Bryce Young conducted himself on the sidelines. He could have. By the way, you want to know how not to act? Look at. I didn't see the Pittsburgh game. Okay, I didn't watch the Pittsburgh game, but I know week 2 when Russell Wilson was on the sidelines, he looked angry, upset, mad, didn't want to interact with anybody. I saw something completely different. I watched Bryce Young talk to players. I watched him side by side with Andy Dalton. I saw him look like he was asking him questions. That's how you behave. You don't behave like Russell Wilson did. You behave like Bryce Young did. Bryce Young is somebody who got done dirty. I know Justin Fields said that Denver did Russell Wilson dirty. They didn't do him dirty. They didn't do him dirty. He did himself dirty. He didn't integrate himself into Sean Payton's offense. Probably doesn't have that skill set, but that's a different thing. Watch the Carolina Panthers. That looked like a playoff team, which sounded unfathomable to say a couple weeks ago. Thank you, Denver Gator. Thanks for my rant. Go Lions! Hatters House 710. Side note, Amon. Hey, you're in the right place. We're going to help you. We're going to help you. You're not going to go 0-4 this week. No shade, but I feel like we could call it injured instead of healthy. These guys are getting hurt in high-speed collisions, not skipping work because of a cold. No. You're right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not like, yeah. I'm sorry if it made it sound that way. Oh no, that's a huge loss. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And this is part of the reason why I have this channel is I need you guys to tell me these things that I'm not aware of. I didn't know about Joe Alt. I did not know about that. So after I did the Chiefs Falcons game, after I pulled out my hair, I watched the Red Zone, the last half of the afternoon games of Red Zone. Then I watched Carolina and Vegas play. I meant to watch the last fourth quarter of the Ravens Cowboys. I have that. There's more games on my DVR that I'm going to watch, but today I'm going to watch 2 Monday night games, do the video, and then I'm going to kind of break down week 4 and some things I'm looking at. I didn't know this. That's a huge loss. By the way, I got ESPN pulled up, which is not where I get my numbers. I have an association with BetUS. If you missed it, I did something that I want to keep my rant to a minimum here because I want to make sure I get all these questions. Yes, I'm glad you got it. I know you would know. I know Denver Gator knows, but I got some new faces in the chat. Keaton Talk Sports is I think 25, so he definitely will not get it. But I didn't have enough time, but I was going to put a montage together and play it real fast. I was going to do like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses, Wayne's World. Zubaz pants, starters jackets, and then I wanted to talk about 1989. But oh, I love it. God, you guys are on fire today. I apologize, I'm not getting everybody. Autocrack makes me sound like a perv. It's supposed to say I'm coming in hot after. Divine, I'm not a golf fan at all. Trust me, that game wasn't because of pressure. It was because of the wind. Seriously, his feet would be set and he missed by 10 yards. Absolutely embarrassing. Funk is not a golf fan, for those of you who don't know. I am so glad you know that, because I guarantee you, I'm going to have Keaton Talk Sports here on in about 10 minutes. He's not going to get it. So I just don't like the Raiders destroying careers. I don't get Pickens, Bowers, and Myers. Yes, both are decent as potential. The O-line needed more help. Also, Pierce looked like he's out of his depth. You're 100% correct. Even if he is correct, and by the way, I do think he was, about the Raiders players making quote unquote business decisions, you don't say at a press conference. He is also funny because they showed him next to Marvin Lewis, longtime NFL defensive coordinator, longtime head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, and you could tell from their interaction that you kind of tell, like, Marvin Lewis is like going, "You're not really handling this right," and it's kind of funny because, like, of all the veteran coaches they have on that Raiders staff, it sounds like Pierce doesn't really get it. I didn't like the Bowers pick. I know fantasy owners I know fantasy owners like it. There was a rumor, I think it was Funk who told me this, I could be wrong, that there was a coin flip to choose between Terrion Arnold and Bowers, and they should have took Arnold. I know he's had some penalties and stuff, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, he's a top tier free safety learning how to play corner in college, and you're letting him learn on the fly. It would have been a better pickup for the Raiders. It really would have. But Meyer's a guy that I loved coming out of college, and they aren't using him right. But Antonio Pierce, listen, that Raiders job's a tough one because you have Kansas City Chiefs, legitimate Super Bowl contender for a while. The Harbaugh building that Chargers, I mean, that defense has turned around. That running game's solid. I didn't know about Joe Alt missing games. Even if they lose to Kansas City, they're still 2-2 and very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And then you got Denver, who I've been saying this for a while. Bo Nix understands NFL concepts. He understands how to run an NFL offense. If Denver's defense, which I have to watch more of that game. I don't know if the Bucs just self-destructed or whatever. But if Denver's defense is playing that good, the NFL's in a lot of trouble because Bo Nix is figuring things out at a much higher rate than Caleb Williams. I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels for the first time tonight, but I guarantee you Bo Nix has a better grasp of an NFL offense than Jaden Daniels. I can almost promise you that. We'll find out for sure. This is my first time watching him. Caleb Williams, and by the way, they're doing him no favors. You have the worst rushing defense in the NFL by a large amount. You have a rookie quarterback who's struggling, and you throw the ball 58 times? Really? But Antonio Pierce, full disclosure, I didn't like Luke Getsy as the hire as offensive coordinator. Here's a guy that was just fired by the Bears like right after the season. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury, who I'm assuming Washington just gave him a lot of money. That would have been a much better option. You're in the AFC West. Herbert's a top-tier quarterback. I know he's not playing like that this year. He's got that high ankle sprain. He's still a top tier quarterback. You got 15 in Kansas City, right? You got to score some points to win in these games. But I'm going to level with you. If I knew nothing else about what happened the first 2 weeks of the season and I turned on Carolina and Vegas, never having no idea what happened. I've been watching football for a long time. I'm telling you right now, that Carolina Panthers team is a playoff caliber team. I know that sounds crazy. That's a playoff team. That's what a playoff team looks like. You have a quarterback who can make plays. He can make all the throws. He was running around. You got Xavier Legette, a guy that looks like an NFL running back. Like, he looks like a type of dude that if you hit him with a baseball bat, the bat would break. And he can run. He's fast. He's going to figure everything out. He's not there yet. Ja'Tavion Sanders is a tight end. The only reason he lasted the fourth round is he ran a 4.69. Watch him for a couple of plays and tell me he's a 4.7 tight end. If you watch Monday Night Football, watch Mike Gesicki. He ran I think it was a 4.51 or a 4.53 at the combine. I watched him play at Penn State for a couple of years. That's not a 4.5 guy. Watch Mike Gesicki run and watch Ja'Tavion Sanders run. Tell me which one's faster. Chuba Hubbard looked like Marshall Faulk reincarnated. By the way, Miles Sanders didn't play bad. That offensive line looked good. Deontay Johnson had over 120 yards. That looked like a great trade. That trade looked like a trade that worked for both Pittsburgh and Carolina. The defense looked good. Jadeveon Clowney, I'm butchering that first name. I'm so sorry. That's a difference maker on the front seven. Shaq Thompson looks like a very good linebacker. And even though Horn looked pretty damn good, they should. I mean, let's be honest. They messed up. They should have took Surtain instead. But that's there. That looked like a playoff team. They really did. Are they going to the playoffs? I don't know. We'll find out next week. Fug says he never had Zubaz pants, but he did have a couple starter jackets, a flight jacket, and I had a triple fat goose trench coat. Oh, I forgot about the goose trench coat. The Reebok pumps. You remember the Reebok pumps. The Bills and Bengals should win tonight and the favorite to win. Do you think we can see an upset in one of the games? I do. It definitely could happen. I've been adamant. I thought Jacksonville, there's no way Jacksonville should be 0-2. I really can't believe that. The defense of Jacksonville is not playing bad. If the defense comes to play and Trevor Lawrence shows that he's worthy of that contract, if you're going to see an upset, I definitely think you'll see an upset in the Jacksonville game because I see a ton of potential. Washington's just rebuilding. Oh my God. Starter gear, hammer pants, pump up sneakers, chain with ripped off VW emblem. I forgot about the Beastie Boys. I love the Beastie Boys. We're here to help you. Funny how different fans look at games. Dan sees a playoff caliber team. All I can see is how much the Raiders suck and Red Rifle is back, baby. Young needs a break emotionally and physically. I'm telling you right now, I've been watching football for a long time. I've been watching football for a very long time. If I knew nothing else about the NFL, nothing else, and I tune in and I watch Carolina and the Raiders and I know nothing else, I looked at that Carolina Panthers team. That looks like what a playoff team should look like. I know that sounds crazy. Keaton Talk Sports is tuning in. After we do our commercial break, he's going to come in. He's going to tell me how crazy I am. By the way, there's a 0% chance that Keaton's going to get the Wayne's World reference. So I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to start hour 3, and you get a special treat. We're going to get Keaton Talk Sports. He's going to come in here, and he's going to help. Just a friendly reminder that my NFL Week 4 picks video is coming tomorrow. You don't want to miss this video. I will provide the winner, score prediction, and which teams cover the spread and the over-under for every NFL Week 4 game. This award-winning video is being released 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. As Afternoon Delight takes a commercial break, we remind you that BetUS is a proud affiliate. The video in the description below shows how easy and fast it is to collect your bonus. Click on the link in the description below and start winning today. At the top of hour 3, we have Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports joining the show. Keaton has gone on record saying if you don't subscribe to Keaton Talk Sports, he will punch you in the face as hard as he can. Wait, I'm not allowed to say that? Look, I know it's not true, but whatever, fine. It's true Keaton Talk Sports is joining us, but he might not hit you. Stay tuned as non-violent Keaton joins us at the top of hour 3. Now let me fix my hair as we return to more Afternoon Delight. Yes! As promised, Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports is joining us for hour 3 of Afternoon Delight. Keaton, what's up, brother?
How you doing, Dan? Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, Nathan, thank you. And you know what? There's so many things I want to bring up. But before we do that, for those there's some new names in the chat. In case they don't know who you are. By the way, the link to Keaton Talk Sports is in the description below. Subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. But Keaton, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Keith McNair, obviously. I started this YouTube channel last year. So just wanted to get into the world of sports, see what other people have going on their channels. I wanted to kind of tag along, just get my own intakes on the sports because I know that's something I'm very passionate in. I'm a sport management major at Ohio Dominican, graduated last spring, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a runner as well. I like to run, long distance runner as well. So training for the marathon this fall. So that's coming up here real soon. But yeah. But in terms of sports, I love sports. I love collaborating with each one of you guys in the chat. So I'm looking forward to getting to know every single one of you guys that are new in this chat.
You know, I didn't know you were training for a marathon. There's so much we need to talk. I ran a half marathon a long time ago. I wanted to get back to it. I messed up my left foot in a motorcycle accident. I'm missing tendons, cartilage, ligaments.
Oh wow!
Yeah. But I was told I'd never run again, and I'm very proud to say I still run.
Still run, yeah.
Yeah, I still run. I overcame all that, but I haven't done a half marathon or a full marathon.
It's a beast, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I'm limited on what I can and can't do. So even though I had plans to run a marathon, training for 26, you know what? We should talk. We're off the air. We're going to talk about this, but let's talk some football. Hatters House 710. We're going to help you. You're not going 0-4 for fantasy football. I want Keaton. Listen here. I'm going to make sure I get all the questions in the chat answered. But
for sure.
I gotta ask. Week 3, this was a wild week 3. There's so many storylines, so many things that happened. There was a few injuries I didn't even know about. I was found out that rookie tackle Joe Alt, who looked phenomenal, he's going to be out for a couple weeks. Marcus Davenport for the year. I didn't know that either. I just found out through the chat. So that was a great thing. Mm-hmm. Troy Fatanu looked like he was going to start on the Steelers offensive line. He's out for the year. I mean, I could go on to different storylines here. Let me ask you here. Week 3, what surprised you the most?
Honestly, I was surprised with how low scoring that Eagles Saints game was. Because my prediction video, I had it being I thought it was going to be a high scoring game, just given what the Saints have done the past few weeks, and then what the Eagles obviously can be offensively when they want to be. But yeah, that game surprised me. It was definitely a defensive battle and stuff like that. So it ended up being unexpected, low scoring game. Eagles came out with the big time win after losing last week. And then I would probably say another surprise. I would probably say the Denver Broncos going down to Tampa and getting the dub. I was not expecting them to go down there and, especially at this time of year, I thought Tampa Bay would take care of business, but Denver went down there and did their thing offensively, and they really shut down that Tampa offense. So yeah, they did their thing down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing. Scoring's actually kind of been down. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm more of an old school guy, so I love the defensive games. I think it's great. I love it. I personally predicted 24-20 for Denver, Arizona. You had 31-30. That was another game a lot of people thought was going to be high scoring. I didn't, but
Yeah.
I just had it was not a logical thing. It was just kind of a gut instinct that was going to be a low scoring game. I didn't pick the under, so I can't really say anything about it.
Right.
I kind of looking at some of these scores here. I mean, we have a lot of lower scoring games like, New York, Cleveland, 21-15, Denver, 26-7. That's a low scoring game. I mean, Sunday Night Football, even though it's two good defenses, 39 points total. That's a low scoring game. Yeah, I mean,
that play call at the end was what they were doing there.
It's funny. I'm a Chiefs fan, so I spent a lot of time on social media. There's a lot of things on social media about the refs, and I was being kind of smart ass, and I was like, yeah, the refs put on a 32 jersey, forced Kirk Cousins to make the world's worst audible play. And that ended the game. I mean, if you go back and you watch that play, Kirk Cousins audibled to one of the dumbest play calls I've ever seen in my life. You're 4th and an inch, and you want to run a sweep play to the sideline against a fast defense. I mean, what do you?
I don't know what they're. I thought they were going to either do a quarterback sneak or at least go like a shotgun or something, like maybe do like a bootleg or something. I don't know. But yeah, that play call was kind of.
Well, it was an audible. You can see Kirk Cousins audible to that, and I mean, I if you want to say the refs made the tackle, I get that, but I spent a lot of time, because there's a lot. You understand because you're a Patriots fan. You understand that you were hearing about the Tom Brady favoritism for a long time. That all that favoritism talk is now on the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what happens when you win a lot. Yeah,
it does. I'm a level. I'm in high heaven, but the reason why I don't have any hair is because of these close games from the Chiefs. I mean, it is just frustrating as hell. It is just frustrating as hell. I'm gonna read some of these comments, and I got some more questions for you here. Denver Gator, I want the Raiders to suck. Max was asked what other teams he would not play for, and he gave only one answer. It was Detroit. I would love. Oh God, as a Chiefs fan. I would love to see Max Crosby in the NFC. I agree with you, Funk. He would look much better in Chiefs red, but Max Crosby in Detroit. If I was Detroit, I would seriously give a lot of draft capital in Max Crosby. I would seriously like Super Bowl. Quarterback draft compensation, like multiple number ones. I would do that if I was Detroit. As long as you finish the montage with the Scooby. I was going to put some type of thing together. I know Keaton wouldn't have gotten the Wayne's World reference, but I was going to do like an 80s montage because I'll never forget that 89 Steelers run after starting off losing the first two games 92-10 and then getting to the playoffs. And Merrill Hodge, the only 200-yard games in his career were in the playoffs in 1989. And he looked like the second coming to Jim Brown against Denver, which went to the Super Bowl that year. I bring this up, Keaton, because the only other time in history I've seen a team look worse the first 2 weeks of the season and then win week 3 was in 1989 with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where the Steelers started 0-2, losing 51-0, then 10-42. They finished the season 9-7. They beat Houston in the playoffs. Houston ended up firing their coach right after that. And those two coaches hated each other. It was public. I mean, I'm going to mention some names you probably never heard of before: Jerry Glanville and Chuck Noll.
Chuck Noll sounds familiar.
Yeah, those two guys hated each other, and the Oilers swept the Steelers in the regular season, but in the playoff game, the Steelers win. They go up to Denver, lose 24-23. Denver advances to a Super Bowl. Played in a close game against the Niners in the Super Bowl, only lost by 45 points. A little facetious there, but
yeah.
My point is, I have to go all the way back to 1989 to find a team that played worse the first 2 weeks than the Carolina Panthers. Then I watch them play against the Raiders, and I saw. I mean, it was such a night and day transformation that I have to go all the way back to 1989 to find something. I want to ask you about that. Like, I mean, Funk brought in. I think it was Funk who said it. No, Denver Gator said it. Did you get a chance to watch any of that game at all? The Raiders, Panthers.
I just saw the highlight. I didn't watch like the whole game. I saw the highlights of it. I saw how good Andy Dalton definitely looked compared to what Bryce Young has looked. I mean, their team looks definitely. I don't know. They look different. They look a lot better than what they looked the first 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I predicted it was going to be a close game, but I had the Raiders winning. Is this more of just the Panthers being who they can be, or is this just the Raiders just being dumpster fire?
Honestly, I think it's more on the Raiders. Honestly, if I have to be honest, like, and I think the problem with the Raiders is they're just inconsistent. Like each week, like 1 week look like they're a team that can be a dark horse for the playoffs, maybe do something in the playoffs, and then there's other weeks where they look like they're not even like deserving of being in the playoffs. Like for them to lose to Carolina the way they did at home, especially after what they did the first 2 weeks, like it's pretty inexcusable. Like especially with that defense, like you gave up 36 points to Andy Dalton. Like Andy Dalton is obviously, I mean, going back to his Bengal days when he was in Cincinnati, I mean, he was putting up those type of numbers. But for the Raiders to let them come into your house and then to, let them do what they did in your building, I mean, there's cause for concern if you're a Raiders fan out there today. So, yeah, I mean, they got to figure something out because they're just inconsistent right now with their play. I mean, give Carolina credit. I mean, they're definitely better with Andy Dalton. Like you said, I think they needed a veteran to run that offense, and guys are definitely responding compared to when Bryce Young was behind center. So, yeah, that's what I take from it.
And Keaton's referring to I did play-by-play for the the Chiefs and the Falcons. Keaton joined a little bit. I ranted about that's an offense you kind of need a veteran offense, or you can't just throw a rookie in that type of an offense because that Bryce Young never did that before. Andy Dalton's done that before. And Andy Dalton, Perry brings up 26 out 37, 319, 3 touchdowns. And question, can Dalton keep playing that good in the rest of the Panthers game? I want to get an answer from Keaton here. Keaton, can Andy Dalton continue this? He's got a tough matchup next week. I mean, this is a tough one. He's going to play. They are at home. But they got the Bengals coming. The Bengals are going to play here in about 2 hours.
That's true. I mean, I think he can continue to play like this. I mean, as long as you don't, as long as you don't turn over the football, I mean, you're always going to put yourself in position. I don't think the Panthers team, if you look at the talent they have, I don't think they're a terrible football team. I just think that, they didn't have the quarterback. I don't think, and it's not a knock on Bryce Young because I don't think he's a bad quarterback either. I just think he's in the wrong situation. I just think he needs to be on another team where they can utilize him and his talents the right way. I just don't think Carolina and Bryce Young are a good fit. I think Dalton definitely fits the description. Like you've seen the rest of the team followed Andy Dalton. They just followed him with his play, and they just only elevated their play. So, yeah, I mean, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, if the Panthers are going to be in every game offensively. It's just going to be a matter of, like I said, the rest of the division. Look what the Saints and all the rest of the teams in that division are doing. I mean, the Falcons lost yesterday, so I mean, if Carolina can just sneak out these wins and maybe hope Atlanta or one of these other teams lose, they can gain some ground in the division. So, I mean, it's not completely over for them yet, but we'll just have to see next week what they do against Cincinnati. But yeah, then they could definitely do it. And Dalton definitely continue this play.
I mean, Dalton spent a lot of time in Cincinnati. He was a long-time starter for the Bengals.
He knows it, yeah.
Yeah, he was there for a long, long time. I remember because like he was the second round pick, started day one. Their first round pick was AJ Green, and those two were together for a very, very, very long time together. But yeah, Perry, I 100% believe Andy Dalton can keep it up and be a very solid starter for the Panthers. And I want to emphasize this. This is not all on Bryce Young. I wouldn't even say it's the majority is on Bryce Young. I think it's just how badly the Panthers have mismanaged, drafting the kid. He's gone through 3 head coaches, and he's played in 18 games, and he's on his 3rd head coach. I mean, it's you can't draft the kid number 1 and manage him this way.
Yeah.
And so, but can Andy Dalton continue? Yeah, he can. And honestly, what they really should have done all along is have Dalton start and tell Bryce Young, hey, listen, we know you're the number 1 pick in the draft. Watch and learn. By the way, I don't know if you caught this or not, Keaton, but the way he conducted himself on the sidelines, I was very impressed. He was engaged with his teammates. He was talking to Andy Dalton. I watched Russell Wilson on the sidelines a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't want to talk to anybody. He was pissed off. He looked pissed off. I liked what I saw of Bryce Young showing some class and maturity. But to answer your question, Perry, absolutely. I think he can continue. Marvin Lewis was a good head coach. He knew how to get the most off of guys. Yeah, he brought in a lot of guys that had off-field issues, and he got them to play well. It's actually funny. I remember the playoff game against the Steelers. It was the 2nd or 3rd play. Carson Palmer went down with, I think, like tore his ACL, and Kitna played fine as his backup. And when you lose a Pro Bowl quarterback, the 2nd or 3rd play of a playoff game against a rival like Pittsburgh, you couldn't win that game. And they had some bad luck, but yeah, he was a good head coach, and a smart move bringing him into Vegas to help out. He's like, I don't know his exact title. He's not a defensive coordinator, but I think he's like assistant, something like that.
Yeah.
Arnold just realized, I mean, here's the deal, Terrion Arnold. Me and Keaton were both really high on him coming out of the draft, but nobody thought that this was a guy that was a finished product. So, I mean, he's going to take a little bit of time to develop there. And that's one thing about drafting him when you're Detroit and your expectations are playoffs. This is a guy that's a little bit of raw. So this is a little raw. Took Shea 3. Yeah. He'll take some time, but he has all the tools. And another thing is, like, when the first time I saw him, I kind of forgot that, how big he was. I mean, I watched him at the combine, I watched him in college. Like, this is a big dude. It just takes some time. Be patient. Like, if you're a Lions fan, you're not happy at Terrion Arnold. It was like, did you really expect him to be good right away? I mean, this is a guy who should have been a free safety, not a corner. So I'm laughing at Bears fans that ran their mouths off this season. He bragged about Swift. A lot of LOL dudes afraid of contact. I'm going to tell you this. You're playing the Colts. Colts gave up over 470 yards rushing their first 2 weeks. You're the Bears. You play the Colts. And Caleb Williams has clearly struggled. Why is he throwing the ball 58 times? Keaton, let me ask you this. Can you answer this for me? All right, you're Chicago. You're playing the Colts. Why did Caleb Williams throw the ball 58 times? Can you please answer this for me? Because I can't figure it out.
I don't know why. I don't know why they threw the ball that many times. I mean, like I said, Williams just looks. I wouldn't necessarily say he looks lost out there, but like the offensive line isn't doing their part by protecting. I mean, you're sitting there. Even when he's throwing the ball, he's throwing under duress. He's not not setting his feet properly. And honestly, it's just a mess, in my opinion, there right now. I mean, like I said, I don't think, if this continues, if he doesn't get the protection that he needs, I mean, if you're asking him to throw the ball that many times, then you're just asking, it's just going to be a disaster. Like, you have a running game, you have Swift at your running back position, like, run the football. Like, you have the defense is doing their part. I think the Bears have a solid defense.
Yeah,
Run the ball to take pressure off of Caleb Williams. Like, yeah, like, I don't know honestly, I think it has a lot to do with the coaching as well. Like, I don't think the coaching is, I don't remember the head coach's name, but I don't think he's doing his part. I don't think he's utilizing the offense correctly. Honestly, they looked lost yesterday. I mean, I thought they would be able to beat Anthony Richardson, especially after what they did against Green Bay. Like, I thought the Bears would take care of business, but I don't know. It's a mess there, especially on the offense end. Defense is doing their part, but I mean, only defense can only do so much. The offense needs to come out and actually be productive, and Caleb Williams needs to be better, obviously. But when you don't have protection.
Yeah, I mean, I was really expecting DeAndre Swift to have a big game, but I think you nailed it. He's not setting his feet. The fundamentals I don't think are there. I mean, he didn't need them at USC, a different situation, college and pros, but the coaching staff's really failing him, and I'm a love the way the Bears are going. I think I could see them cleaning house, general manager, coach, just everything gone, bring in a new staff.
Yeah, I can see that.
Luke Getsy, who was fired from Chicago as the offensive coordinator, he was brought into Vegas. I thought it was a bad move, and they keep in mind neither one of these guys are the answers in Vegas. Vegas is trying really hard. They're going to get a new quarterback in 2025. I can almost promise you one or two of these guys are going to be gone.
I see that.
The thing is with some 4-6 guys is they still run 4-6 in the game while most people are slower in pads. Look at Brian Branch, looks slow in shorts. He doesn't look slow. Yeah, that was a big reason why Brian Branch lasted in the second round. He ran a 4.59. I watched him play at Alabama. I can tell you he's not a 4.59 guy, and he doesn't play like a 4.59 guy. Jadavion Sanders, the tight end for Carolina, he was a 4th round pick. He ran a 4.69. If you watch him in college, he didn't run like a 4.69 guy. He doesn't run like a 4.69 guy on the field. And I mean, he's getting playing time immediately as a 4th round rookie. It's impressive. I remember Mike Gesicki, he ran a 4.53. I watched him play at Penn State for 2 years. If you had told me he ran a 4.83, I would have been like, yeah, it makes sense. But he doesn't play like a 4.53 guy either. So I get it. Yeah. Branch is in concussion protocol. I forgot about that. McBride should be fine. He lowered his head. I kept on hearing about that. I heard about it. I didn't see it. I bet Keaton gets the reference. Watch Dan's brain. I did a Wayne's World reference. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't get it. So I joked about that before the show, but I'm pretty sure you wouldn't get the Wayne's World reference. And we come from different times. We have the same hairstyle. Same hairstyle. But different. And that's one of the reasons why I love having you on. But no, I would bet money you wouldn't get the Wayne's World reference. But little love for Keaton here. I'm behind on comments. I'm going to go through some comments rapid fire now. I'm going to ask Keaton some questions here. Keaton, what are your thoughts on Andy Dalton? He had a good game to start. Okay, we got that one out of the blue. Chargers have always had bad luck with injuries. You're right.
Oh, Herbert too. Is he? What's he didn't play rest of that game? Is he like out next game? Or I really heard
right now, according to ESPN, he's questionable. They play Kansas City in LA. I'm going to tell you this right now. Even if he's like 60, 70, he really wants to play in that game. I fully expect Herbert to play. We're going to keep an eye out on that. But yeah, he was bothered all preseason with an injury. It's still lingering, but I fully expect him to play, but we'll find out. Falcons Saints, Perry, is one of my all-time favorite sports rivalries. I love this game. It's going to be a good one. Keaton, listen, man, I loved your picks video. As a matter of fact, I'm tempted to steal it. I'm not going to, but I love how you put like the division, like AFC West and I thought that was so cool. I'm tempted to steal that for myself. I'm not going to in this video, but like going forward, I might steal it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Falcons Saints is one of my all-time favorite sports rivalries. I know you got a video coming out. Can you let us know when your picks video is coming out? Can you let us know?
It's gonna be out. I plan on having it out tomorrow, every Tuesday going forward. So I just gotta finish a couple things with it and then make a video tomorrow morning and put it out probably around 2:30 Eastern time.
All right. So my video is also going to come out. Mine's going to come out earlier. So so those of you in the chat, watch my video because it's coming out first, then watch Keaton's video. But I love how he puts the division with teams. I just thought that it's a minor thing, but I thought it was so cool. I might steal that for week 5. Since you got your video coming out tomorrow, I got my video coming out tomorrow. Can you give us an inkling at least of who you're leaning towards for Saints Falcons? Can you do that?
Haven't made my decision yet, but if I have to guess, where's this game at, Atlanta or
it's Atlanta. I messed up. I called it the Superdome, but I don't know I know it's the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but I don't know what they call it. So I called it the Superdome, but I don't know what they call it in Atlanta, but it's really cool. It's an A+ stadium. They put Arthur Blank in Ring of Honor, maybe because he bought the stadium. I don't know. But,
right.
I mean,
really. I think because I'm looking at the games last week, the way the Saints looked against the Eagles, like I know it was a low scoring game. I was not expecting that to be a low scoring game. And Atlanta, I feel like that's a game. Them coming into this week, I think they're going to get revenge. Not necessarily revenge, but they're going to want to get back at the Saints for what happened last week against the Chiefs. They felt like they should have beaten the Chiefs. If that play call that I don't know why they ran a sweep to the left side of the field, knowing the Chiefs were all there already. So it's like, I think the Falcons are going to be looking to get that bad. Plus, they're at home, so I don't think they're going to want to lose another home game. So I'm probably going to lean towards Atlanta in this matchup. And I think these teams will split. As I said, my season predictions before the season started.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much I love Saints Falcons. I've been such a huge fan of this rivalry. Since the 80s and 90s. This is some really, really, really good games. GB says a left field answers. I was surprised the Dolphins got shut down, only 3 points. It's funny.
I'm not surprised.
You're not, I'm on a level with you. I do want to, this is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Is Seattle for real? I mean, they're 3-0. They shut Miami down to 3 points. I'm not sold on them. So I want to get your opinion here. Is Seattle, by the way, are you looking at this Monday night game, Seattle at Detroit, or are you more excited about Tennessee? Yeah, it's at Detroit.
So it's just Seattle, Detroit. Yeah, Seattle, Detroit. That's going to be a phenomenal. I mean, for some reason, I don't know what it is with Detroit. They always seem to struggle against Seattle and Detroit every year. Like the past couple of years, Seattle's went in there and beat them. So that's definitely a game I'm going to keep my eye on. So, yeah, but Seattle's definitely surprising. I mean, they have a solid – I think Mike McDonald being there has definitely changed the room in terms of, like, how they're playing defensively. Like, their defense is legit. And they have a solid offense with Metcalf and with Smith-Njigba and Tyler Lockett. I mean, Geno Smith continues just to not turn the ball. I mean, he hasn't really turned the ball over, really. I don't think he had a turnover yesterday. So, I mean, you're taking care of the football with a solid run game, solid defense, solid coaching. I mean, you're going to pretty much be in every game. So, yeah, Seattle's definitely a surpriser. And plus, they're on top of the NFC West right now with San Francisco losing yesterday, which that's also another surprise. I mean, the Rams didn't have pretty much anybody, and they were still able to find a way to beat the 49ers. So, yeah, Seahawks are doing their thing right now. We'll see if they can keep it up.
No, so you heard that right straight from Keaton. He's not even going to watch Seattle and Detroit. He's just going to watch Tennessee and Miami. That's the only game he cares about. Keaton also said Ohio State can beat both Tennessee and Miami. I don't believe that, but by the way, rocking the Ohio State gear again. I love it. I can't wait till like Ohio State starts playing some teams and stops playing State.
Oregon game's going to be phenomenal.
Is that Saturday?
No, I think that's in 2 weeks. I think it's in 2 weeks.
I can't wait. I can't wait. There were some really good college games. We didn't have a chance to talk to it. I think Holmes is waiting on Trey Hendrickson to hit free agency. So that was a big story. Is Hendrickson held out? He wants an extension. They don't want to give him one in Cincinnati. Of course, Cincinnati doesn't want to pay Jamar Chase after they gave Burrow all of his money, but Trey Hendrickson would be a nice fit in Detroit. Lions are 0-16. There were a lot. Oh yeah. I was talking about the Chiefs having some bad years. Yeah. I remember the winless season in Detroit. I don't know if Keaton does, but I remember the winless season. Jeffrey asked a great question. Do you think the Browns should fire Kevin Stefanski? I'm butchering the name here. If the season goes bad and blow the roster up. So Kevin Stefanski is the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Keaton, right now the Browns are 1-2. They travel to Vegas. It's funny because there's so many good games. This is one that you may overlook. When I say, I'm not talking to you particularly, but I mean, as a casual fan, I know Keaton's going to pay attention to New England, San Francisco as a late game. I'm going to be doing Chiefs Chargers live stream. Let's just say the Browns end up 5-6 wins. What do you do if you're the Browns here? Jeffrey asked a great question.
That is a good question. That's tough because, I mean, looking at the Browns roster, I mean, their defense, I mean, they have a good defense, but they just haven't really, I don't know what it is with them. Like, I mean, you lose to the Giants yesterday or on Sunday. Like, I was not expecting the Giants to do what they did, going there and you know, put up a clinic offensively. I'm not impressed with their defense because they were projected to have the best defense in football going into the season. And they just haven't really shown that. Yeah, I mean, if I were the Browns, I mean, knowing that they have the hardest schedule, well, technically they have one of the hardest schedules in football. If they can't find a way to make the playoffs, or if they have a worse season, I can see Kevin Stefanski leaving or getting fired. I mean, there's times where, you know, you look at Kevin Stefanski, the way he's operating the team, he doesn't really make the in-game adjustments when things aren't going their way. Like, he just very predictable. I think teams are starting to figure out the Cleveland Browns a little bit, especially now, not just with him, but I mean, the way Deshaun Watson's playing as well. He isn't playing up to stat. I think giving him that contract was a mistake, in my opinion, from the start. Like, I think they need to find a new quarterback, in my opinion, because Deshaun Watson isn't going to get it done for the Browns. You know, I just don't think I never was high on him. And obviously, he's not the same quarterback like he was in Houston. So if the Browns continue to play like this and not, you know, if they're not getting it done offensively, yeah, I could definitely see changes being made in Cleveland for sure.
You know, one thing about Cleveland over the years is that this isn't the most stable franchise. They went through a stretch. I think it was 5 coaches in 5 years. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
You know, if you get things turned around, if you're not doing well in Cleveland, you could easily expect to get fired. You know, Jeffrey, do I think they should fire him? No, I do not. The offensive line's littered with injuries. Deshaun Watson's like a square peg in a round hole. It hasn't worked out. That said, if this offensive line gets healthy, they get Nick Chubb back. I want to see what they can do, because you still have the meat of the schedule going in. But if you get this offensive line back to full force and you get Nick Chubb back, and this offense doesn't start producing, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. And by the way, they had Mike Vrabel. I don't know what his role was, but I know he was there during training camp. That would be a role I would look at. And you look, there's been Denver's given Russell Wilson, I think it's like 40 some $million just to go away. Kenny Pickett is in Philly. Mac Jones is in Jacksonville. It's you can get rid of a quarterback, eat some money, and move on. I remember the 49ers gave up 3 number ones to draft Trey Lance. They let him go for a 4th. So I'm a level with you. I don't think they should, because I'm looking at the offensive line. I'm looking at no Nick Chubb, but you could tell things aren't working. And Cleveland's not a stable franchise. So it's something we're going to be looking at. I mean,
yeah.
I think Marvin Lewis will take over before the end of the season. That's definitely a possibility. That's not off the table at all. Marvin Lewis, former longtime Bengals coach. If Antonio Pierce, keep in mind, they gave him a chance because he did such a good job as the interim head coach for the Raiders. That destroyed Christmas for everybody. Everybody was horrible. Everybody was just miserable after beating my Chiefs on Christmas Day at Arrowhead. He deserved a chance to be an NFL head coach. We'll have to see because if the Raiders win 4 or 5 games, even if they don't have a quarterback, you may have to go elsewhere. But we'll keep an eye out. You never know.
Right.
They did beat the Cowboys. Maybe they'll turn things around.
You talking the Browns?
Yeah. I thought I'm not sure what you mean, but no, they I thought they lost to the Cowboys. I thought the Cowboys won that week 1. But yeah, I mean, there's some issues, but I think it's really just more. I want to see let's let the offensive line come back the full strength. They've lost another piece. Let's let Nick Chubb come back and let's figure some things out. But keep in mind, if they go down to Vegas and they beat a rate, this is going to be a fun game. Both these teams are 1-2 and need a win. The winners not in bad shape. The losers 1-3 in the AFC North, where you got Pittsburgh's 3-0. Baltimore's got to win. They're always dangerous. They play on Sunday night against Buffalo. Fun game. And then you have the Bengals, who they're 1-2, and they go to Carolina, a game that they're favored in.
That could be a sleeper game too, honestly, if I'm being real.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Andy Dalton, like he's kind of excited about playing the Bengals. I mean, he was a starter there for 10 years. He had some really good games. But
yeah,
I feel the Ravens players are tuning out Harbaugh. That's interesting. Keaton, let me get your take on this, because I had Raven 76B more come in, and he was not happy with Harbaugh. I was watching the Red Zone, and I didn't get a chance to see the game, so I don't know what happened. But it was 28-6 late, or with about 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. Final score is 28-25. And he's like, Dan, Harbaugh. I mean, they gave up 19 points in less than a full quarter to make that a little more interesting than it needed to be. But Baltimore did get a win. Give me your opinion on the Ravens.
I mean, looking at them so far this season, they're not better than what they were last year. I'm just going to be honest with you Ravens fans out here. I think you guys have a good team. I think, getting Derrick Henry definitely helps. Especially, Lamar loves to run the ball, so it definitely takes a little pressure off of him from having to do everything. But your defense is not the same as it was last year. I mean, last year you guys had the best defense in football with Mike McDonald being here. You guys had Patrick Queen. They just lost a lot defensively, and their defense, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson offense. They have to be able to put points on the board to make up for the lack of the defense that they have. If you can't get stops against Patrick Mahomes, which the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl the last 2 years. If you're trying to knock off the Chiefs, you got to be able to not only keep up with them offensively, but you got to be able to get stops defensively. If you can't get stops defensively, it's not going to matter. So it's like, yeah, the Cowboys got back in the game, but you didn't need to make it a game if John Harbaugh, just kept running the football. And they started passing the ball for whatever they're up instead of just milking the clock, using Derrick Henry more when you have a lead. Put pressure on the Cowboys because the Cowboys couldn't stop Derrick Henry all game. So it's like, why'd you go away from the run game and you started passing the ball, and then you got Dallas got back in the game. So it's like, yeah, I mean the Ravens might make the playoffs and all that, but I don't see them going anywhere far with the lack of defense that they have. I just don't think their defense is good at all. And like I said, I think Lamar Jackson, it's going to put a lot of pressure on him. We all know how Lamar Jackson performs in the playoffs. He does not perform well in the postseason. So like, you can't get stops defensively. That means it's going to put a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson for having to do everything. And we all know how he does in the postseason. So we'll have to see. But I wouldn't look at this Ravens team as a Super Bowl contender this season, just because I don't think their defense is that good. I don't think they'll be able to get stopped when it really matters the most. That's just me.
All right, you heard it. Lamar Jackson would be third string at Ohio State, according to Keaton Talk Sport. Not quite that bad. No, you bring up some interesting points. Is that you're looking at the defense, because I mean going into the season, I thought Roquan Smith may have been the best middle linebacker in football. I swear I watched that AFC Championship game. I thought there was 3 Kyle Hamiltons. I mean, you got Madubuike, who got all that money. And then you got David Ojabo, who would have been a first-round pick. He tore his ACL at the Pro Day. Could have gone top 10. I mean, he was getting a lot of love from NFL executives. Went in the second round only because of an injury. Odell, I think he changed his name again. It's Odawe Alpha, a former first-round pick, also on that front seven. Just hasn't been able to get it done. That was a big reason they had to keep Kyle Van Noy. They had to keep him there in Baltimore. By the way, he's playing pretty well, but
yeah,
when you bring in a first round pick and a guy who would have been a first round pick, you kind of expect those guys to be starters, not what Kyle Van Noy, I think, is 33, 34. He's not the guy you want starting when you have a first round pick from a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. It's so you have talent all over Marlon Humphrey, guy absolutely loved. All this talent, and the defense just didn't, I mean, they lost a lot of coaches during the offseason. I mean, you brought it up. I mean, the head coach there in Seattle, they're doing a great job. Yeah, Anthony Weaver, the defensive line coach, he's now the new defensive coordinator there in Miami.
Geno Stone they lost, and Clowney they lost to Carolina. Yeah,
Clowney had a great game last week against the Raiders. Let me ask you this though: should you move on from Harbaugh? I mean, there's a Ravens fan that says we need a new guy, but I mean. I remember I had Keys on. I think you're on that show, and Keys like, who are you going to get? That's
the thing too. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if I can understand, because this kind of reminds me a little bit of what New England did when Belichick was here. It's like, yeah, we won 6 Super Bowls under Bill Belichick. The success that he has, like, you want to move on. Now, if you want to move on because you want a new voice in the locker room, you want a new energy in the locker room, okay, that's understandable, because he's been there for a while and stuff like that, and that's probably what the Ravens need. But at the same time, it's like, who are you going to replace? Are you going to bring in Mike Vrabel there?
That's the only name I can think of.
I mean, that's the only really name I can really on top of my head right now. Mike Vrabel. I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it personally. Just because, like I say, I think, the success that Harbaugh has had, you've had consecutive winning seasons with the Ravens. So it's like, I don't see a way the Ravens get rid of Harbaugh unless they really, really know. I mean, not even just what the organization wants to, or what they want to bring in as head coach, but what the fans want, like, who are you going to bring in as head coach? So
it has nothing to do with Vrabel being an Ohio State Buckeye, does it?
Oh no.
I'm just asking. Asking.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I mean, because like Mike Vrabel loves defense. I mean, I think he would be definitely fit.
That's the only guy that if I'm the Ravens, if I make a move, the only guy I would make a move for would be for Mike Vrabel. You have to bring in you have to bring in more guys to interview. You don't want to lose a draft pick due to the Rooney Rule. That's the guy. Like the other interviews, you're just kind of listening to some names, but I mean, Vrabel would be it. Perry says the Falcons got to use Pitts in London more earlier in their game when they started using London. That offense is a disaster in Atlanta, and it's a shame because that defense is really good. If you're going against Kansas City and you put up 17 points, you're not going to get a win. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying about the refs, but I'm going to say this: you got Bijan Robinson, 6 carries, 31 yards. That's not.
Yeah, but why don't you use him more too? Like, why are you getting away from the run game late? I mean, you could use him on that 4th and 1 play instead of doing the.
That was really bad. I mean, as a Chiefs fan, I loved it. I mean, I'm really hoping that against the Chargers, and I'm not expecting it. Full disclosure, I would really love it if we could just beat the Chargers. Can we have a game this year that we just win by 20 points, so I don't have to lose any more hair? I'm getting sick of this. I have to watch replay for a toenail week 1. I have to get a 56-yard field goal against the Bengals week 2. And now I have to have Kirk Cousins audible to like one of the dumbest audibles ever. And then I hear it from fans. Oh, it's the refs. It's the refs. And like, no. When you run a bad play on 4th and 1, when your running back is averaging, I'm not a math guy. 16 carries, 31 yards. You know what that is? That's 1.9 yards a carry. I'm not a math guy, Keaton. Is 1.9 yards a carry a good rushing average?
No.
Keaton has a college degree. That's why I asked him. I have an accounting degree, but I got it online.
Oh, so, yeah. But that you guys might get some good what's the word I'm looking for? Because you've had three close games so far, so you might this might be the week where you guys break that.
And nobody wants to see the Chargers beat the Chiefs. There's going to be there's going to be like 15 Chargers fans and then 75,000 fans.
That's true.
See a red. By the way, I don't know if you saw the Rams-Niners game.
I saw that.
There was more Niners fans there than Rams fans.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, I mean, I get that LA is not big on football, but like, come on. Like, that's why I think I don't know why they left St. Louis.
It's funny. There was somebody on social media who said the same thing. St. Louis, I could tell you, like Kansas City.
That's a football town.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis is a baseball town, but like they were packing. I mean, they love the Cardinals in St. Louis. They love the Cardinals.
Oh yeah.
It's. I mean, when the Royals were in the World Series, I heard "Forever Royal," but there's like 10,000 people in Kauffman Stadium right now. Like nobody cares. St. Louis loves the Cardinals, but like they brought fans into that, and I forget what they called that dome, but like. I mean, they were packing that dome, man. I mean, I think it was like the Edward Jones Dome or something like that. But
Edward Jones, yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah,
it's something like that. I forget. But yeah, I mean, seriously, like I mean, they're making money in LA, but I mean, it's just opposing people. I'm like 2 hours. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wouldn't mind seeing the stadium, but I have zero interest in visiting LA. Like it's I'm about as far west as I want to be. But Perry, they don't. They got Zach Robinson from the Rams. That offense, and by the way, they have a good offensive line. They have some talent at receiver. Pitts has all the tools in the world to be an all-world tight end. I don't get what me and Keaton were both adamant. We looked at the Falcons. We were at the draft. We're like, oh, this is easy. You need a pass rusher. You get Dallas Turner. Boom.
Turner.
I think we said that. I know. I remember right after they signed Cousins, every single mock draft I had Dallas Turner. I think you did the same. Am I correct?
Yeah, every single one, pretty much. I mean, yeah. They needed a pass rush. I don't know why I don't know what they were doing.
So now you're sitting there at 1 and 2, and now you got a tough win game. Yeah, Perry. Offensively, they got to fix some things. I don't think talent's an issue. And by the way, I like bringing their head coach back, who was the interim. He did a good job, but he's got to fix some things. I want to get some of these questions here. I saw Corey, aka the Red Sea, man. Hey, Corey, I'm so glad you chimed in, man. I'm really glad to see a tough loss against the Lions. Tough loss. Interesting matchup with Washington.
I see.
Yeah, Corey, aka the Red Sea. Miami needs to get a veteran quarterback, or the season's over. Do you think Miami will just tank? They did bring in. I forgot his first name. It was Tyler Huntley. They brought him in from the Ravens.
Yeah.
I think Keaton said the same thing. Like, if I'm Miami, I would reach out to Pittsburgh for Russell Wilson, and I would also reach out to Bryce Young, or Carolina for Bryce Young. But if I'm Miami, I would reach out and make some moves. I don't think teams will tank. I don't believe teams will tank. I've never believed that. You remember, Perry, that tank for Tua talk? You remember that? But, I'm gonna tell you one thing that I said this in the beginning of the year. People thought I was nuts. I'm not sold on Mike McDaniel. I don't think he's this genius offensive mind.
No, I was watching a Dolphins stream earlier. There's fans talking about they want him out of there or something. I'm like, dang, for real? But then another thing,
I don't think he's this end all be all, but I don't think he's the problem. I mean, but you got to figure out that quarterback situation. McVay and Chris Shula outcoached Kyle Shanahan. You're 100% correct. That was a master clinic by McVay.
I don't know how you lose that. I mean, they don't have anybody like on the rant. Like, how do you like? I mean, you're up 10 points too. The 49ers they blew that game for sure.
Denver Gators telling me Slater's going to be out too. I didn't know this. If your starting tackles are out against the Kansas City Chiefs, you're in a lot of trouble. I didn't know that. Maybe I won't lose so much hair when I do Chiefs Chargers.
So you might get a break this week from.
I hope so, man. I'm serious. I'm sitting there sweating bullets. Justin Simmons intercepts Mahomes again. Bates. There's a lot of things I like about Atlanta, but the way that they run their offense is really, really, really bad. But yeah. I didn't know they were out. I didn't know they were out until just now. Corey says, I picked the Lions. Didn't see the game playing out that way. Their defense overperformed. Their offense just got in its own way all day long after the first drive. And also, I did know about this. I knew that your backup right tackle got injured, and then I didn't know your third string right tackle got injured. But I do know your backup played really well, and Hutchinson didn't get that sack until he was playing the third string tackle. But still, 6.5 sacks is impressive. And the Cardinals defense did impress me. It really did. It really did. I saw the interception in the end zone where Murray threw into double coverage. I said this on Sunday when I was doing a live stream on Sunday night. I said, if he doesn't throw an interception, you probably score 3 points. The game could be completely different. But you're down. I don't know how long that's going to be either. The Browns owner is bad, like the Panthers owner. Yeah. He just took over the team not too long ago. I say not too long ago, like 10 or 12 years ago. You've heard of the Flying J truck stops, Perry. He's the guy who owns those. Like he's worth a lot of freaking money.
Browns, yeah.
I want to make sure I read all these questions because I only got another 5 minutes here. I don't understand why Marvin Lewis didn't get another head coaching job after getting fired by the Bengals. Perry, I never understood that myself. I know that he wanted to step away for a little bit. He from what I've gathered, I don't think he wants to coach as a head coaching job. He was with Herm Edwards at Arizona State. He's now with the Raiders. The way I understand it, he just doesn't want to. I think he should be in consideration. Age is another thing. I think he's something like 70. He's close to 70. He would be like the oldest NFL head coach. Also, he didn't have a lot of success in the playoffs, but let's figure that out.
Yeah.
I got mixed up with the Ravens beating the Cowboys. I predicted that. I had a buddy of mine. He's a Cowboys fan. He was talking about betting on that game. I'm like, listen, please don't bet on your Cowboys. That's it. That's a game the Cowboys lose. But if you're a Cowboys fan, look, Thursday night you'll play the Giants. If you lose that game, go into panic mode. But if you beat the Giants, you're okay.
Yeah, they should have no problems beating them.
All right. So Keaton said it. You heard it. Bet your life savings on the Cowboys Thursday night. You heard it now. That happens every game at State Farm Stadium. We don't have any kind of home field. So I didn't know this. I didn't know that I know LA, the fans take over. I didn't know it was like that in Arizona, Corey. Yeah, I didn't know that. I know that from Vegas, it's like 4 or 5 hours away. So, and you should have a home field advantage. You really should. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah. There's a lot of people that go to Glendale during the winter. It's funny. One of the weirdest things about Vegas, you get used to it really fast, but if you go outside, there's always planes coming into Vegas like every 5 to 10 minutes. So like it's like if you want to see a plane, you just look up and there's another plane there. But yeah, people come here all the time too. Arizona's, I didn't know this. I did not know this. I think Mike Vrabel will take over the Browns. That makes a lot of sense. I could see it happening. The one thing about Mike Vrabel, he was in a bad situation ownership wise in Tennessee. I'm not sure he wants to be in another bad situation with Cleveland. I might hold off and wait till I see something better come along. We have to wait and see about that. Listen, I got 2 minutes left. And I want Keaton. I'm gonna throw you kind of a curveball here. Kind of open whatever you want to talk about. But the one thing I do want to talk about, both of us are coming out with videos tomorrow. Which game is like, are you looking at and like this game's the one I really, really, really want to see? Which one's the one that got you most excited for week 4?
Honestly, I was looking at the games, and there's actually a pretty good amount of games on this. I mean, I'm looking at the Bills and the Ravens game. Really, I'm looking at that game. That's a Sunday night game. I think that's going to be a really phenomenal game, and I think that's a lot of people think the Bills are going to lose just because they assume that the Bills took a step back this year of all the piece that they lost. I mean, if you look at the Bills, I know we were talking about the Dolphins earlier, but look at the Bills and Dolphins, the way they've done things. Like, look at the Bills. They got younger this offseason, getting rid of a lot of old players. Mm-hmm. And Miami got rid of a lot of their young players and brought in a bunch of vets. And now look at the two teams right now. So it's like, I look at this Bills team, I'm like, they're still here. If Josh Allen continues to play like this, he's going to be in the run for MVP potentially, with Patrick Mahomes up there as well. So it's like they can go into Baltimore and beat them, especially, like I said, with the Ravens defense not being the same. But I think it'll be a phenomenal game. But I think You'll see tomorrow. I haven't picked my winner yet, but I think that's gonna be a phenomenal game. Just
that's the game that, like, I mean, there's so many. I can rant because, like, there's a lot of really good games. Minnesota at Green Bay, Seattle at Detroit, Saints at Atlanta. And then there's a lot of really, Kansas City at the Chargers. Of course, I'm being a Chiefs fan, but of all the games, that's the one that really stands out to me. Baltimore and Buffalo, and I want to touch base on what you said. Buffalo got younger. Miami signed a bunch of veterans. And then, the one thing I want to touch base, kind of add on to that before we end the show, is that it looks like Buffalo nailed their quarterback in Josh Allen. And with Tua having the injury issues, it looks like that might not work out. Just getting the right quarterback. That's a big part of it too. But the way the Bills have handled things and winning, looks like they're doing the right things. Miami, the way they're doing things is wrong. Yeah. Corey, I'm going to answer this for you, and then I'm going to end the show. I've seen that called a lot. When it happened, I didn't think it was. When I looked at it on replay, I thought it was. Let me throw this out at you. 4th and 1, or let's just say it's 1st and goal on the 1. Do they run a sweep again? Because they couldn't get 1 yard to win the game. They didn't do it. Let me throw something else at you. Let's just say Atlanta scores a touchdown. They go for 2. They proved that they couldn't get 1 yard, so they're going to get 2 yards. They probably don't make that 2-point play. So a field goal for the Chiefs wins it. Do you really think that Atlanta's going to stop Patrick Mahomes from driving down the field? Harrison Butker won a 56-yarder outside. So what's his range inside? 55, 60. Chiefs win that game anyway. You really think Patrick Mahomes with 3 timeouts and a minute 30 left can't get a field goal?
I mean, it's where he lives. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like you can't. It comes down to possessions. Like you can't let Patrick Mahomes have the ball with any sort of time left. I mean, you saw. Look at the Bills game, 13 seconds. It's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But to answer your question, when I watched it live, I didn't think much of it. The instant replay, it looked like it was a bad call. If you watched me do the live stream, there was bad calls. I was complaining about the rest of the first quarter, both teams. It wasn't biased towards Kansas City. That final drive, it was 25 yards by the refs alone. Just plays against Kansas City. Horse collar wasn't a horse collar. The roughing the passer earlier in the game wasn't a roughing the passer. But to answer your question, Corey, you could have called it pass interference. Watching it live, I didn't think it was. Watching the replay, it was a missed call. But let's just say that was pass interference. They get the ball in the 1. Maybe they score, maybe they don't. But if they do score and they go for 2, they're not going to make it. Let's just say they do make it, and the Chiefs need a field goal. They're getting that field goal. Is it more likely they're probably going to go down and score a touchdown? Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah. I mean, listen, 16 carries, 31 yards. That, and then, you make a yard and you're in good shape to get you. What were they at the 8-yard line when it was like 1 yard to go? They make that first down, you have a chance to win the game. That's what lost it, not a pass interference. So sorry, I went late. I got in the show, but guys, listen, I'm sorry I missed all your questions. Feel free, put a comment below. I will get them all after I finish Monday Night Football. You can also contact me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You can go old school. Email me at dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. Keaton's channel's in the description below. If you're not subscribed to his channel yet, you suck. Hit that subscribe button. And I look forward to answering anything for tomorrow. Have a great night. I'll see you back for 3 more hours of Afternoon Delight tomorrow.